right. Welcome, kings and queens. We are in the building. The palace is live and in full effect tonight. Everybody, welcome, welcome, welcome. Meet all of my panelists. Such a beautiful group of ladies. Ladies, feel free to come on camera and show your beautiful faces. All right, there they are. Yes. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. We have such a diverse group of women. And tonight we are talking gender roles. Stay in your place, lady. Stay in your place, woman. What is a woman's position and what's her role in relationships? Before we get started, I just want to make sure that you all can hear me clearly in the audience. Give me a 1 in the chat if I'm coming through clear, and we will get this party started. I'm going to wait. Hi, Avis. I see Bridget Owens. I see Stephanie, Linda Gamble. Thank you to all of my mods that are holding it down in the chat. Y'all know what time it is. Do what you need to do if it gets out of hand. But I doubt that because we're in a palace. It's the royal court. We have a lot of fun. I see a lot of ones coming through. Without further ado, welcome, ladies. How are you all doing today?
Good. How are you doing?
Very good. Thank you.
How are you?
Doing good.
Good,
Doing
good, good.
Thank you. Thank you for having us, Queen Sheba.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Are you ladies ready to talk when it comes to gender roles?
Yeah.
And what you feel like your places in a relationship, past, previous, current, future. And we're going to start with you, Jessica, because I had to get a Latina viewpoint.
Thank
You know,
you.
you know what? Actually, let me back up. I want to tee it up with the review hour because we're going to go to Jessica second. The
Okay.
review hour, can you give a little bit of background about what you shared with us regarding the conversation that you had with a group of women and how you all you came into a discussion where you said your peer group, white women, gave a completely different experience of how they were raised as little girls when it came to being taken care of, and black women in the room had a completely different viewpoint when it came to they were expected to survive and kind of hunt for themselves when it came to prepping yourself for marriage. I'll pause to allow you to give the audience just a little bit of background. Everybody else, can you mute up for me, please?
Okay. Yeah, I was telling you about, hello, everybody, again. I was telling you about at a former employer where I worked. We did a racial diversity workshop. And where I worked, we had a mixture of people that worked there. And what this facilitator did, they took, they took the African Americans or the people of color into one room, and they took the Caucasians into another room and asked them the same question. And the questions would range from name the myths that you sometimes hear or you even think about people of color. And the same question was asked of, the people of color. Give us the myths that you think about Caucasians or that you've heard about Caucasians. And we did. And once we got back into the room, they put all the answers up on a board. And we were able to have a very calm, intelligent conversation. And the answers were, say, for instance, from the Caucasian standpoint, they always hear or they have thought based on what they've been taught that Blacks were lazy, Blacks did not want to go to school, Blacks were, I guess, uneducated, which is the same thing. Blacks don't take care of their children. And on the other hand, Blacks would say all Caucasians are rich. All Caucasians are racist. And so it just went from that, took it from there. But what I told you was the young ladies, the Caucasian women, they were able to tell us from the time that they were small, they've always been told that they're beautiful. They've always been told that they would marry well. They've always been taught that, okay, if you go to college, you're really not going to college to work. Go and get your degree, but go and find you a rich husband, someone that's going to take care of you. And on the other side with us, we were talking about how we were brought up. We were told to keep your head in the books. Nobody's going to take care of you. You got to be able to take care of yourself if someone leaves you. And at that point, I saw how different it was for the two. And it wasn't something that each group of people made up. It was fact for some of us, not everybody, but for the majority of us in the room, that's how it was. If a young Black girl is in the mirror, and I'm 50 some odd years old, so it may be different for someone that is younger than me because things have changed. But when I was little, you get in the mirror, you stand there too long, get out of that mirror and stop primping and put your head in those books, And so, whereas somebody else, when I was in school, young girls, 13 and 14, they would start wearing mascara, putting on lip gloss. But when I was that age, you were not allowed to do that. You weren't allowed to make yourself too pretty, because it's going to draw unwanted attention. So I think that on both sides, we have these upbringings, to me, that make one side a little bit more dominant than the others.
Okay. Well, we're here to talk about it, and we are going to talk about it.
Mhm.
And I've completely revamped my first question. I'm going to start with you, Jessica. And I'm going to kind of piggyback off of what the review hour shared. When it comes to your childhood as a little girl, teenager, young lady, adolescent, what do you recall being told about yourself when it comes to relationships or who you are as an individual, whether it's positive, negative, or even nothing at all? How were you poured into?
Well, my childhood was a great one as far as my father being a provider. He was an awesome provider. It was him who would instill into me to keep my head in the books. It was my mom who would tell me as an adolescent to not depend on a man, to make sure that I am able to take care of myself. And my dad told me that as well. You don't let yourself be anyone that you can be taken care of. You take care of yourself. And I was always encouraged to ask questions all the time. So I think that helped me be a resourceful teenage dropout, in school. And, so I was always told by both my parents to make sure that I furthered my education and that I didn't depend on anyone, that I knew how to be self-sufficient. But I got it from two different ways of them, although I was watching my mother serve him first before us, or, you know what I mean? Like still those Hispanic values where the man gets served first, or you need to have dinner on the table at a certain time. Although she said those things, she stayed in a dysfunctional relationship, that type of thing. So it was kind of do what I do, but not do what I say, not do as I do, type thing.
We're going to come back to that. We're warming up. I want to come back to that. I am going to go to EBSQ. I had to switch it up. I'm kind of going all around. How were you? Do you remember what you were told as a little girl when it came, to relationships, who you are, and what you could expect from marriage?
Well, my dad, like I think I told y'all before, my dad's always told all of his girls, my three sisters, I have two other sisters, don't depend on no man. Go to school, get an education, make sure you can support yourself because you cannot depend on anybody. We were always raised to be self-sufficient. It was just never even a question. So, and then I never wanted to get married whenever I was younger. Like I said, all the examples I had of marriage, I didn't think they were healthy. I thought they were all toxic. I was like, I don't want any part of this. This doesn't even look like fun. My dad always wanted me to get married. I was the only girl that was like, I don't want to get married. I don't think it's for me. I'll get a job. I'll take care of myself. I'll be good. And he's like, you don't want to be with someone else. I'm like, no, not really. But like I said, growing up, the examples of marriage were bad. So it was really hard to even take advice, as I was getting older, to even listen to the people who were trying to give me advice, because I'm looking at their marriages and they looked trapped. Like they were all unhappy. I was like, I don't want any of that. So that was the advice I was given. It was always self-sufficient, be self-sufficient, basically.
And that came from your father, correct?
That came from my father. My mother really never talked to me that much about marriage, or we never had like discussions on just really anything. Everything all the information I got was from my father.
Okay, and that's two. We have two for two. We have a Hispanic woman on the panel that said her father geared her up and told her, listen, be ready to get it on your own if you have to. We also have an African American woman whose father has also taught her the same thing. And I will go to Blessed Queen. When it comes to child rearing and what you can recall as a little girl, what was told to you as it relates to relationships and who you are and what you can come to expect?
Well, I grew up with my great grandmother and my great grandfather, and I was told from the time I could talk, I need to watch my mouth because I always ask questions and always wanted to know why, how, who, what, where. So I was told that as a woman that is unladylike and as a wife, I would get lick, meaning, I can get hit. And I like Jessica, I watch her prepare his food and have the house clean and everything for him when he was home. Not even the roach would come out. There was a quietness in the house. But I also observe as I grow older, I didn't understand it when I was younger, that maybe about 500 yard he had a other family. So at our house, he would be there for 4 nights of the week, and we can literally see the other family, and he would be there 3 nights of the week. So as children, we appreciate him not being at home, because then grandma could be the mother. We can sit down and talk with her and play with her. And she always, Bernadette, you got to watch your mouth, you have to know what you say. Men is not going to like a woman who asks questions. You have to be submissive, you have to know your place and it's like, but why is grandpa over there? That's not your question. Once you happy, you got to do what it is you have to do. Make sure that you cook and clean, and just be there. And I was like, okay. So I always, question it as I grow older. But unfortunately, I follow the same condition, the same structure for my children until I was like, oh no, this is not working. It didn't work for me. It's not going to work for them.
Wow. We're going to get deeper. I'm going to come back. I'm going to make my rounds, and you ladies will get a chance to elaborate on some of the details that you shared. Joy, you're up next. When it comes to childhood, growing into, the little girl and as you begin to advance in age, what do you recall being told about relationships
I
and what
think I
you
was
could come
always,
to expect? I'm sorry.
oh no, you're okay. I was always told to like love yourself and put yourself first. My mother was a single mother by due to her choice. She, from what she disclosed, was in a situation that was not beneficial for herself or who I was as a baby at the time. And so she came from a background of women before her that were married, that the men in their lives demonstrated what it meant to be a provider and to put a woman first. And I think that stuck with her. And she passed that down to me, that you always make sure you pour into yourself first, especially since, I was a little plus size Black girl in the South. So with that, there's a lot of different things. wasn't necessarily appealing to young men my age, but those that were older. So early on, my mother taught me about self-love, self-respect, and what to watch out for. So in terms of relationship, I don't think she had a lot of conversations like one-to-one about relationships or marriage. She just always made sure that I knew to always put myself first, and that whatever you do it for you and not for someone else.
Wow, y'all are just going there early. I love it. Y'all are dropping so many gems. And like I said, Joy, to the other ladies, we're going to come back to that. We're going to dig a little bit deeper and peel back some layers. Review hour. When it comes to what you can recall being told to you as a younger lady, a little girl, teenager, what do you recall being poured into you as it relates to relationships and what you can come to expect as a woman?
Well, I can look back, like the young lady Joy just talked about, coming up in the South, and I was a dark skinned little girl. And so you grew up with people maybe making fun of your skin complexion because you were dark, even if they were dark like you. It's just a way to bully you and lift themselves up. But my mom, and I did come from a 2-parent household. My mom, she always told me I was beautiful. And so I never thought otherwise, even when I won't say bullying, I guess it was bullying, when the jokes came because of my skin color. What was poured into me as far as a relationship, I wouldn't necessarily say that it was told to me I should be this way or that way, other than keep your head in the books, don't worry about the boys. You don't need to worry about that. You got to be able to take care of yourself. But I saw an example because my mom, she was a homemaker. I've known her to work one time, and that was not something as it was something that she worked maybe 3 days out of the week. But after that, she came home, and I never saw my father have a problem with her being home. He took care of the bills. I saw him sit at the table and write out the bills and pay them. So, and she cooked, she cleaned. Before she got ill, she was the mom that took care of her children, loved her children, and poured positive, things into them. So I wouldn't say that she sat down and talked to me, or my father talked to me about this is the type of woman you need to be for a man. I just saw him as an example as far as how he provided. But I can still say this too, even though he was a provider, my brother and I were talking about this not too long ago. Because of his upbringing, he really didn't know how to connect with us, like my mom did, as far as pour those things into us. He was the person, he knew what his assignment was, his job was to be a good husband. And his idea of a good father was to go to work, wake up early, work doubles if you have to, make sure the bills are paid, make sure your credit is good so you can get what you need to get. And so I saw that as an example, but I didn't necessarily have those one-on-one conversations with my father or my mom telling me this is the type of woman you need to be. They just told me what I needed to do.
Do you wish they would have?
Yeah. Oh, yes, because that would have caused a lot of errors and mistakes that were made not to be made. I wish they had just kind of just broke it down for me, other than the way that it was done. That wasn't enough to just tell me, keep my head in the books, don't worry about the boys. And I did exactly what they told me to do. Is what, when I left the covering, the house, then all of a sudden, it's like, oh my God, it's a candy shop. I can't believe I can go to a club, and then you just start making these, going against what the little bit that they did instill in you about what you didn't need to do and what you needed to do. in order to survive out here.
Got it. I want to come back. And ladies, this is a question for each of you. Do you recall being made to feel beautiful? When it came to your looks, did your parents reaffirm you? Do you recall that? That pouring? I'll start with you, Jessica.
You know, you were asking that, and I was trying to skim it in my mind as a little girl. And I really don't remember as a little girl my dad telling me that I was beautiful. He didn't tell me until I was older. As far as my mother, I do remember her telling me when she brushed my hair, when she put, dresses on me. I remember her telling me that I was her pretty little baby girl. But other than that, no, I didn't really hear it from I don't remember, and maybe that's something I need to ask the Lord to bring back to me, is those memories of my parents pouring into me as I was little. But I really don't recall being told that I was beautiful or pretty by either one of my parents as often as I tell my grandbaby, or as often as I told my daughter.
Yeah, yeah. And that question came to me because I know the review hours shared that, the white women in the group shared that they were told that they were beautiful and they were pretty.
Mhm.
And it's almost like, I don't know if it's a right or wrong, but it made me think. I wonder if, even to the chat, ladies and gentlemen in the chat, men, were you affirmed when it came to your looks, your body weight in a positive matter and in a positive manner? Yes or no? And if not, even negative, do you recall anybody pouring into you? I'll go to EBS. Q next.
No,
Hold
no,
on.
nobody ever said that whenever I was younger. I remember my dad, he never called me ugly or anything like that, or you were, he would say, you're getting fat. That was his big thing because my mother was overweight, and that's just something that he used to say. I remember my mom told me one time that my lips were too big. Um, no, there was never any kind of positive reinforcement when it comes to looks, you know. So
Wow.
just
Thank you, Queen. Thank you for that honesty. Um, I think I'm going somewhere with this because I don't recall being told that, and I'm not talking about from outsiders, strangers, right? That every now and then you may get lucky as as an adolescent, as a little girl. I'm talking about those that you can reach out and touch within the house, the inner circle. Bless Queen. Do you recall having your looks and or your appearance affirmed by your family, your mother or your father?
Um, yes and no. I was the darkest child in my class and among my family, and I was teased a lot. I was called every dark or black name under the sun, literally. I was called too black, 1 minute past midnight, pitch lake, dirty. And I remember I was 10 years, and this stick with me to this day that nobody cannot, make me feel less than. And my great grandaunt came home, and I sat down with a bottle of bleach and had cloth, and I was trying to clean my blackness off.
Mm.
And she put me sit down. I didn't even know what diamond or what gem was, because this was the countryside of Trinidad. So gold in itself was, um something that was really readily valued. We didn't know the value of it. And she said, do you know where diamond come from? And I'm like, because I'm in tears, I'm crying, and I'm like, no, I don't want to hear about that. She said, listen to me, where diamond comes from. She said that's one of the most expensive jewel, and mostly white people can use them because they are the ones can afford them. They get that in the blackest soil. She said, do you look at the pitch on the road? Everybody used the road. That's the blackest soil. She said, look at the color of your hair. That's the blackest soil, and that is wood. Out of black cometh everything. And I didn't fully understand it then, but it began to build my self-confidence and my self-worth. And from 10 years, I never look back. Not even the Queen of England want anything with me because I'm big and I'm beautiful.
I love it. I love it how you teed it up and then you tied it off at the end with a beautiful bow, and how you were able to rise above it all, and how your mother gave you a different perspective of what beauty is and what beauty entails. So thank you for sharing that, Queen. Let's go to Joy.
From my mom, yes. I was raised by my mom and my aunt and my grandma, and all of them poured into me. Like, all I can remember is just like love and them affirming like everything about me. So I feel like I'm very blessed in that regard. I think the only time that I'll say this, that laid a foundation for who I am now as an adult woman. But growing up, because I had so much negativity from the world, I really struggled in believing what they told me. It was like, oh, well, you're my parents or you're my family, so you're supposed to say that. So I'll say, yes, they poured into me, but it didn't really take root and blossom until I was an adult woman.
That's beautiful. But I want to say this to you when I say that's beautiful, because I can feel your confidence from last panel. And people were asking, they were like, who is that young lady? We have to have her back. And that's a part of the reason, because of the confidence that you exude. So I just want to say, job well done to your mother, because it's sticking, honey. And you are sharing, your cup runneth over, right? Because I took away some beautiful things that you said about women. And we're going to get into that a little bit later. But I just wanted to just kind of give you your flowers. Yeah. Let's see. Jessica, I went to you, Jessica, right?
Yes.
Okay. The review hour, when it comes to being affirmed in your looks. Did I go to you already? Review hour? Are we good to go?
Yes, you did.
Okay.
Oh,
Well,
yes. But you did mention you you did, but you mentioned something about you asked the chat and you addressed the women as well as the men. And I would have to say I have a son, and due to my mom pouring into me that way, I did it for my son as well. It's just not for the girls. I always told him he was handsome, beautiful, because I know how important it is for a child to hear that. And the older you get, whatever comes your way as far as against your looks, you will always know that, you're a parent or someone in your family told you the opposite, and it won't affect you. It won't affect you. So yeah, it goes for the little boys too, and the men, as far as being affirmed when they were little.
I agree. And so does Hermosa Flor. She says affirmation is important. Most certainly. And speaking of affirming and affirmation, let's talk about these gender roles and relationships. All right. I'm gonna start with EBS. When it comes to what you perceive your role to be, forget what society says. Based on your perspective, your opinion, what's your role in a relationship as a woman?
I'm a partner, to me, it's like synergy. One person is strong, two people are stronger. You try to get somebody who complements you. You want to get somebody who picks up your weaknesses. You're not going to be strong in everything. That's okay. But if you can find somebody who is strong in the areas that you aren't in, you can accomplish so many goals together, especially if you're on the same path. And that's another thing, you have to be on the same path as well. You can't be trying to go two different paths and thinking that relationship is going to work. So I feel like my role is to pick up the slack where my husband is weak at, and his role is to do the same for me.
Yes, yes, Queen. I can't argue with that. Bless Queen. Bless Queen. I need you to come through. What's your role when it comes to you as a woman in a relationship?
Well, I view my role in a relationship as a twofold, one as supportive and one as supported. I am going to be supportive to my husband, emotionally encourage him, understand him, be there for him. And I'm also going to support him, in whatever he wants to do, one it's in alignment with what God desire for our relationship and how we should go. Because for me, communication is a big thing, and being able to have a great communication in my relationship is very much important, because love everything is gonna fade if you are not communicated to properly. So that's it for me within a relationship.
Keep preaching, because you said what you said, it will fade if you
Yes,
are not.
if you don't communicate properly, because for me, love in a relationship, it's more centered around the physical attraction and how you look. But once you communicate through love and you have that communication, then love blossom on a different level. You begin to sense your partner. You become in sync with each other. You know what he's thinking, how he's feeling. He can call you from work, honey, what's wrong? Because he's in sync, because you guys communicate and you become one, intimacy. So you literally are one, but that only derives from great communication and sharing, abundance of spirit, abundance of words, abundance of thoughts. So that's big for me.
Wow, that's beautiful. Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. Joy, what's your role?
Well, sticking with putting myself first, I feel like I'm a visionary, so I need a partner, right? I have a vision and I have a plan for my future. And so whoever I'm with, they have to be my partner. And I think that that role is an even exchange, whether you're a man or you're a woman, however you identify. So my role is a partner. Whoever I'm with, I want them to have a vision and a purpose for their lives. So with that being the end goal, both of us have to be on one accord in what we want and how we're going to get there, and rely on each other for that. So that's what I feel my role is. You have a vision, I have a vision, we going to get this vision together.
We're going to get it together. And Coco Lee says, Joy is my daughter. She's always been a natural leader and advocate for others. I am super,
That's
super,
my mommy.
super proud of her. Yes. Come through, mama. We love the fact that you pulled up. And I'm talking about pulling up and showing love and reaffirming her. So, yeah, she's doing a great job. Jessica, what's your role based on what you believe your role to be? Forget what everybody else talking about. What's your role in a relationship as a woman?
Well, another subject would be, what role should I not have been? But I believe the same, in sync with all the other ladies on the panel. I believe that my role would be a teammate, a helpmate, I got you if you don't have me mate, but we're on the same page. We're on the same team. I can't be a triathlon with a rookie, if that makes any sense. I want to be a plus in this person's life, not a need. So I've always, as far as assuming a role in a relationship, I've always been, I got you. I've had this mentality of, I've got you, and it could be wrong in a wrong relationship. So I believe in teamwork. I believe in, you got me if you're down, because my normal, what I'm at my best, and you recognize what I'm not, when I'm not at that, and you can help lift me. If you don't know that for yourself, then that's a wrong mix. So I've always been a strong person in a relationship. Uh, maybe a little bit too much where I can lead more, and I don't want to be led. I want to be submissive. I'm not in a relationship now, and I thought it was odd that, oh my gosh, I'm getting on a panel to discuss relationship, and I'm not in a relationship. I can tell you everything what not to be, with the wrong person. So I look at a perfect relationship, even though there's imperfections, as a teammate. Not someone who's above you or below you, but someone who can lead you and that you can be submissive to, but still be that one that they need. As far as I don't need you, but I want you, and I want you. I want you around me. I want your help. When I can't help myself in a certain situation. So I feel like my role is to be a teammate, a helpmate, your plus one. That's what I've always put myself in a relationship role.
I love it. And I'm going to open up the floor for you to expound. I know what you're talking about when you said, I'm hearing, talking about relationships, yet I'm not in one. That's okay. We're going to come back around to that if you want to share.
Oh,
So just
sure.
be thinking, just be thinking about that. EBSQ, did I go to you already? I think I did.
Yes, you did. I think you went to me first.
Okay.
That's fine. Next question.
The review hour. What's your role in a relationship? Not what everybody else is talking about, not what we hear, but based on how you feel you should show up in your relationship. Talk to us.
Well, like Jessica, I am in a relationship. I have a life partner. We've been together for 11 years. And what I learned when we first got together, before him, I was always trying to save someone, trying to make them into who I thought they should be. And what I found out about myself, as far as my role, and it's true today, I have to always make sure that I'm whole. Because if I'm not whole, if I can't be happy on my own, if I can't relax on my own, uh, or do anything on my own, there's nothing that other person, that partner, can do for me. So I have to be whole. I have to be whole before I enter. But I think you should be whole before you enter into a relationship. That has been what I've learned. Um, Communication. You got to be able to communicate. You have to be able to listen. And that was a big problem of mine. I can talk, but when you talk, you can't listen. You can't listen. So I've learned to listen to the other person. I've learned not to blame the other person for me not being whole.
Okay.
Because not being whole can stem from a lot of things. It can be from your childhood, from other relationships, from other friendships, or whatever the case. So you have to make sure, and what I've made sure is make sure that I'm whole before I go into a relationship, and also make sure that other person is whole as well, so that we can hold each other up, hold each other accountable, communicate, listen to one another. And I think if you have that, there's nothing that you can't do together. That has been my my story.
I think I agree with everything each of you said. I think each of you added a little bit, and we were able to build this dynamic story, right? About what you feel your role is as a woman. But let's shift gears a little bit. And let's talk about some misconceptions that men have no idea what they're talking about when it comes to a woman's role. Let's pause. I want to give y'all a few seconds to think about this. When it comes to what men think or believe a woman's role is, give me an area, a task, a description where they're completely off. And I mean completely off.
Evacuation in progress. Leave the
I got it.
building.
Listen, I just had this conversation earlier with me and some of my girlfriends. So if it's okay, I'll go first.
Absolutely.
I am not your mother. So the love I give you, stop looking for it to be a one-to-one motherly love. Okay. The cooking, the cleaning, whatever I do for you, excuse me, it's because I love you and I care for you, but it has to be reciprocated. What your mother did, that was an unconditional love. That was a different kind of love. So when you didn't pick up or you didn't put that meat out or you didn't take out the trash, that's mama. She gonna love you. She gonna still pat you on the back. That's my boy. No, I have needs. And just how you're needing something from me, I'm going to need something from you. And my love, it might feel unconditional, but we do got conditions, okay? And it's your actions that show you love me. So that's the misconception there.
That's a traffic jam right there. Joy, I think you just ate. I love it. I love it. How have men, has that been well received? Let me ask you this. Has what you feel and what you just said, has that gotten you in trouble before or misunderstood or?
Right now, I'll put it like this. I have a few exes and all of them still on my line, right? To me, I don't feel like it got me in trouble because to me, it was a clear boundary there, right? And if you love me and I'm communicating something to you, then you should be able to recognize that this is what I need and let me just change a little bit, right? Because I'm not asking for too much, right? And so in terms of like getting me in trouble, yeah, but I mean, if you gotta go, then you gotta go, And I know it's easier said than done, but I just recognize early how men operate. If you're not doing something for them, they don't have no problem moving on to the next or gaslighting you or putting you back on the quote unquote roster, right? So if you're doing that, then why am I sitting up here committing to something or someone that's not committing to me, who's not keeping my needs first? So, I mean, it might be trouble for you, but it's a blessing for me. So,
I'm sorry.
Y'all can tell I just had a conversation earlier. So.
Listen, I told y'all we warming up in the palace. We got to warm you up. We gave you a nice cup of tea, but now we're about to eat. Bless Queen, come through.
I'm
An
not
area that men have no idea what they're talking about or even know when it comes to certain things that they believe a woman should do. I'll let you have the floor.
I am not your maid. So, and as Joy said, I'm not your mama either. So I ain't walking behind you and picking up no funky drawers. You understand what I'm saying? If you reach home before me, the stove, it has a knob, just like I can turn it on, you can turn it on. And honey, if you cannot cook, you better have money on a plastic because we ain't going to eat. We're not going to eat. And because I was having this conversation early on with my sis today. Some of us women go into relationship and we said, oh, that's my better half. No, you are not my better half. I'm whole. You come in to complement something that is already whole. So you are a complement to me. So we are going to go into this. So when you come in and think that you come home and I have to cook. On the weekend, I have to clean. I have to look after the children, but you have to babysit them like if they're not yours. Is your brother or your sister? No, we're not going to do that, baby. We're not going to do that. Keep moving. Please don't stay and warm the spot for somebody else. Keep moving, please, because we're not going to do that. I ain't your mother, I ain't your grandmother, and definitely I ain't your Sunday school teacher holding your hand. Nope.
I love it, Bless Queen, and so does Melody Cherie. Yes, Melody Cherie said she happened to be scrolling and so happy that she came across this. Hold on. Yes. Welcome, Melody Cherie. Look, if you want to come up and add a quick 30-second snippet about where somebody had you messed up when it came to your perceived role, let us know, Queen, and we'll drop that link. EBSQ. Where did somebody have you messed up when it came to what he thought your role was, or he had no idea?
You know what? I've never honestly had that kind of an issue with any man. But I set boundaries whenever I first meet someone. I set my expectations. We have an understanding of what I'm bringing into a relationship and what I expect you to bring into the relationship. So I've never had like, oh, I expect you to do this or I expect you to do that. You know, that's just not something that I've ever had an issue with. But I also like to piggyback on what Joy said because I work in a male-dominated industry. So most of my friends are men. And one of my close male friends, we had this conversation about having unconditional love for their partner. And I'm like, there's no way you can have unconditional love for your partner. You can't tell me that if your partner's out there cheating on you or abusing you, that you're going to love them the same. And you shouldn't, you know? So yeah, your love should always have conditions when it comes to loving someone. Someone can treat you any kind of way and you're just going to love them no matter what. I said the closest thing that unconditional love could happen with is maybe a parent and a child. And even then, you should have conditions. You shouldn't just be treated any kind of way. You know what I'm saying? So I love that she said that about having conditions on love. Everyone should have conditions. We're saying that you have boundaries or expectations. But as far as someone got me messed up, I guess I could say maybe my dad growing up, he was saying that I need to learn how to cook because you're not gonna get a husband if you don't know how to cook. And I'm like, Dad, I'm gonna make enough money that I don't have to cook. You know what I'm saying? I'll hire a maid. I'm not for domestic work. You know what I'm saying? I'm not built for that. I'm not trying to get an education so I can be up in the kitchen cooking and cleaning, and that's one of my sole duties. Those are my best, accomplishments as a woman. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I have more to offer someone. So I honestly, for partners, I've never had that issue. But like I said, my dad had told me that one time. And that's something I remember.
I love how you said, I'll make enough money that I won't have to cook if I don't want to.
Yes.
And I'm just going to pass the mic on that one. Jessica, we're coming upstairs. Give us an example of when somebody had you messed up when it came to what he thought your role was as a woman.
I'm going to have to say that when I went through every ex in my head just a few seconds ago, I have to say that you have me messed up if you think that my world is going to revolve around you. Messed up. Because for a healthy relationship, he has to have his own, he has to be good in his solitude, and I have to be good in my solitude. These are two worlds that come together. If you don't have no world to bring to mine, then you're trying to come into my little hemisphere, and that's not what's up. We have to be two healthy and whole individuals to come together. And if you're going to be, that runs into codependency. If your partner wants you to be 100% him, then what about you? So you have me messed up if you think I'm just going to forget about myself just to cater to you and your needs or what you feel my role should be. Like, you have me messed up if I go work out at a certain time or I want to do a certain thing that I've known to be doing for myself, and I need to be home by the time you get off work to make your food. No, we're not going to do that.
That's a good one.
We have to bring in the love that we have learned to love ourselves with into that relationship. Not, because if not, they're looking for you to complete something for them and not add. So you have me messed up if you I can't stress that enough. You have me messed up if you think my life is going to revolve around you, because then I forget about myself, and we fought to find ourselves to where we are at this point. So why would you lose that for someone else because of what they want you to assume, as a role in their life? No, messed up all the way on that one. All the way.
I love it. I love it how you reaffirmed yourself and set
Yeah.
those boundaries. And was like,
That's
we're
a
not,
hard boundary.
yeah, my world will not revolve around you. And let me set the record straight. This is just women giving you real talk. Because a
Mhm.
lot of times, a lot of women will not share their business with you. So consider this free game, because these ladies are pulling up tonight and they're really giving you some food for thought. And with that being said, the review hour. Give us an example when somebody had you messed up when it came to what he thought you should be doing as a woman, and he was completely off.
Well, I can't say it about my current relationship, but I can say it about past relationships. For some odd reason, I thought that cooking for a man would make him love me in some type way. You know, cook, just cook, just cook. And so I would say to someone now, but I don't have to say that because he cooks a lot. He cooks more than I do now. But I would say you have me messed up if you think every time you open your mouth, it's going to have a sandwich in it, because I don't have to cook if I don't want to.
And I love how you said he got me messed up, but keep going, Queen.
And one other thing that the two other young ladies, Joy and the one right there at the bottom in the center, Esquire, they both said, and I agree, and I had to learn that the hard way: set the rules and the boundaries at the very beginning. I didn't do that, with other relationships. I just, you like me, I like you. We'll just see how it goes. But I learned this time around, and I guess that's why it has lasted so long, and why we have so much respect and love for one another. You have to, before you even say that this thing is exclusive, now this is just for me and in my opinion, is that you have to sit down and have that conversation. Do you need a cook every day? Okay, you need a cook every day. Do you need someone to wash your clothes every day? Okay, you need that too. Okay, do you need for me to shop for you? Okay, you need that. Do you need for me to be intimate with you on a everyday basis? Okay, you need that. Check, 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 check. Okay, I don't want that. Bam, go. If I had
Oh,
done that so many times in my past, then I probably would have gotten to this jewel that I have now more quicker. Because I never just sat down, and the communication part, I thought if I asked for it, uh, they wouldn't like me, or they wouldn't go forward in the relationship if I let you know what I need, you know. But I had to learn the hard way, and now I know, there's nothing wrong if it doesn't match. It's okay. You're not the one for me, you know. It's okay.
it is okay. And for
Hmm.
those of you that don't know that and you've been made to feel like it's not okay just because you are a woman, it's okay to say, this doesn't work for me. We're not compatible. I don't like the way I'm being treated. Speaking of, there's this new phenomenon when it comes to today's men. I've heard it on a lot of different platforms where they want women to go 50-50.
I'm going to have to jump in there because I talked to
Jessica,
two of
you
my
going
friends
50-50
today.
or what? Go ahead,
No, I'm
Jessica.
going to have to jump in there. Two of my friends said today that more opposite, that men today want to be the ones taken care of. I haven't encountered that. I feel as far as 50-50 goes, yes, 50-50 on well, I don't know. To be honest with you, I think I've never really thought that way, which is probably a bad thing because I've been the one to always get it for myself. You know, I've never wanted to ask. I've never wanted to depend. At times when I was in a relationship where maybe I was in between a job, or especially when COVID started, um, I felt so dependent on who I was formerly engaged to. So As far as 50-50, I would think so, because we live in a time now where women are so independent. We know how to budget. We know how to work for ourselves. We are professionals. We have our own money. We have our own education to go out there and get it and bring it back to the house. And so I feel, I don't have a problem with being 50-50 as long as it's 50-50, not 80-20 or 60-40, again, that goes back to what we were taught when we were younger. Some of us here were taught, to know how to take care of yourself. And I wouldn't want my partner burdened on having to take care of me and provide for me. Because I know what that's like as a single mother, as a single woman who is now, my children are grown out of the house already and totally self-sufficient. I know what that's like to have that burden of you taking care of everything. So I welcome a 50-50 relationship. I don't see anything wrong with it as long as it's like that down the middle and there's a respect, for one another, and appreciation for one another, for that, time when your man might say, okay, well, I got it this time. Okay, I respect that. Well, I got it next month. Or,
And when I say
I feel that
50-50,
way.
I'm talking about bills, mortgage.
Yes, that's what I'm.
Okay, just making sure. Okay, keep going.
Yes, yes, I feel that way, and you bring up that you bring that up, right? Reciprocation. Somebody said reciprocation in the comments. I totally agree. And since you bring up finances, there's other things of 50-50. Intimacy is 50-50. Don't let me be the one that's always initiating, the intimacy. Don't let me be the one that's always showing you affection. It's 50-50 on all levels whenever it comes to a healthy relationship, in my opinion. One can't carry more of the burden than the other. I'm sorry. I don't feel that, because I've been in a relationship where he's the one taking and taking and taking all of my affection, or feeling like he didn't have to pitch in, for something like that. No, to me, a healthy relationship is I got you, you got me. So both of you are at peace and at a certain level of weight that you're both carrying, if that makes any sense.
Ooh, Jessica, you
For
got some
sure.
mixed reactions in the crowd, but we're not gonna worry about that. You got this chat moving, honey. I can barely keep up. Joy, you going 50-50 for your man or what?
Who me? No, listen, I go back and forth on that one. I think it has to. It depends on the dynamic of the relationship. First of all, I'm gonna put out right here. If I got kids, we not 50-50 and nothing, okay? I'm carrying your last name, have bored your children, and I got to take care of them, take care of this house. No, you're going to have to take care of me. Now, where I am currently in my life, I've in my dating life, I'm fine with, like, if we go out on a date. Well, you know what? Let me stop all this. If you as a man are pursuing me, you're going to have to show that you can be a provider of some kind. So I think 50-50, it just depends on the dynamics of your relationship. Honestly, if I'm just dating you, then, if I'm feeling, a little cute, I'll be like, oh, let me get the bill this time. Now, that's not going to be every time, but I don't know. I truly can say I don't know. I just think I don't want to have a lot of word salad. It really depends on the dynamic of your relationship, Queen Sheba. I think if you're a person that you are heavily ingrained with gender norms of men are providers and women are going to be at home, if that's how you want your relationship set up, then no, it shouldn't be 50-50. But for me, who has a more modern view on dating, if we're coming into a home relationship with each other, we don't have children, we're working, we're together, but we have separate lives, then 50-50 is not a problem, especially where I live and in this inflation. But 50-50 finances is only going to work if everything else is in order. I'm be honest with you. If everything else is being neglected, then if I have to put more emotional tax on me to make the relationship work, then that 50-50 is not going to pan out too cute for us.
Pass the offering plate, y'all. We gonna take up a collection because Joy and Jessica has gotten this party started. Even Melody Cherie had to chime in and said, and men need to have career and finances in order before even dating. What are you doing in the arena, bruh?
Yeah, yeah, and yes, absolutely. To kind of piggyback off of that, and then I'm gonna pass the ball to someone else. You have to make sure. Well, I'll put it this way: make sure who you're dating is evenly yoked. Let's just start there. Point blank, period. When we talk about 50-50, there are the dynamics of what is your income, what is your career, where are you in life. So 50-50 might not work depending on your dynamics and where that person is in life, and you need to make sure that that is very clear in the beginning. Again, because I have more traditional views in certain aspects, if you're a man coming into my life, you have to make sure that you show you are a provider. Now, I can buy things, I can do things for myself, but I need to make sure that you, as a man trying to enter my life, you can accommodate the lifestyle and how I'm living that I've set for myself. So let me make that clear.
I think we hear you loud and clear. And Melody Cherie doubled down on that. She says, because of how my work ethic is set up, the man for me has to be a hard worker, or I'm gonna be looking at him side eye. Like, what you doing? Blessed Queen, you want to add to this?
For me, in a relationship, if we dating, we starting out to date, we're not going 50-50. You're not taking me to a restaurant and I'm paying for half a meal that I can pay for myself. We're not going to do that. You getting to know me, you better be able to foot the bill. If we getting into a relationship, you're supposed to be financially, emotionally, physically, sexually, spiritually, 100%. Because as I said, you come in to meet somebody who is whole. Because I'm going to make sure that all my baggage and everything is left at the door. I'm not coming with you with no baggage. So if you're going to take, you and I going to get into a relationship, we're going to go 100. If you can't meet me where I'm at, bye. See ya. Find the next person, because I don't have time to waste. So I'm not going to be, we're hoping that the grass would grow, that you would reach to the standard. No, because I've seen it too many times where you're waiting for a man to reach a certain standard financially, emotionally, and when he get there, it's because he find that you are no longer in his bracket. So I'm not going to be preparing somebody for somebody else. So I am prepared. You better come to the table prepared. And we're going to make a meal together. You're not going to come and you don't have the ingredients and I get in the ingredients and then you eat and leave. It's not going to happen. So that's my thing. No, it's just not going to happen.
I'm going to have to ride with Blessed Queen on this one. I'm not doing no 50-50. I'm not doing it. You know what? I'd rather take you out. Give me the whole bill, because I'm not splitting nothing.
No.
I'd rather be generous and kind, because I would feel like it's a partnership. I'm not saying it's right or wrong for anybody else, but as for me and my home, we're not doing 50-50.
We're not doing
point blank. Now I'm going to take on a little whatever I need to take on, but we're not.
Yeah.
Down the line, I may as well get a roommate.
Exactly.
Because think about it. Now I'm coming to EBS, and then I'm coming to the review hour. And ladies, if you want to push back or reframe or come back and add something that I left off, I saw a comment and it said, hold on. It said, oh, it was Melody. It said, so from emotional support, protection, financial support, these men have the capacity to give you 1,000%, because some of them are out here providing for 3, 4, 5 families. Okay. So they have it. You just need to make sure that they have it for you. So they are more than capable of providing. EBSQ, you going 50-50?
I think this is an interesting question because, like you said, you look on YouTube and you have all these people talking about 50-50, right? And you're talking about from a financial standpoint, right? And for me, finances are I'm not even really worried about finances just because of how much money I make by myself. Okay. So whenever I've been married for 14 years, whenever me and my husband, um, before, you know, I began my career and all that, um, I was more broken emotionally. It's just worn out, you know, like family relationships, you know, it just didn't seem like anything. It was just draining me, you know, emotionally, spiritually. And so whenever I got with my husband, he made me feel invincible, like I can accomplish anything. The support he gave me was something that I had never gotten before in my life. That he was just so just there for me, just a stability for me. So as far as financial goes, to me, it's like it changes because when you're in a partnership, like I said, emotionally, sometimes you're going to be given 60 and you're going to be getting the other 40 from your husband. You know what I mean? And then vice versa. And so I don't see why that doesn't translate into financial as well. You know, like I guess when you're older, I'm not going to date anybody or I wouldn't be with anybody who didn't have a job. I'm not going to do that, you know, but at the end of the day, like I know how much money I make and it's going to be more than most men. And so, but if he's stable in his job and he can take care of himself by himself, 50-50, like I don't know what 50-50 is because like I said, like one thing that I never wanted to do when I got married was like have separate bank accounts. My parents always did that and I always thought like what's the point of being married if you don't have the same bank account? 'Cause you're a union, you're as one. You're supposed to be together. You're supposed to everything's supposed to be shared. So if I have to split stuff up and I'm like, hey, how much did you put in this month? And I put in this much this month, and why aren't you paying for this? It's like that's not even a relationship. You know what I'm saying? And so you have to be honest with yourself as a woman. What do you want from this relationship? Do you want someone who makes more money than you, who will support you? And if you want that, there's nothing wrong with that. But understand that you're going to be giving up something. You know what I'm saying? You are going to be more submissive because you're now placing yourself in a submissive role when it comes to finances. So are you willing, like I said, if you're going to be a housewife, nothing wrong with that. And you have your husband, you know, completely financially support you. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. But just understand that your job now is to take care of the home. Your job now is to cook and clean and take care of the children. That is your role. That's your job now. You are now employed by your husband, and you need to understand that, okay? And if you want that, that's fine, because I know a lot of women who want that. You know what I'm saying? But I understand coming into a relationship, and if you look at it as a partnership, like I look at it, hey, sometimes it will be 50-50. Sometimes it won't be. But if you come in a relationship and you understand your role and what you need from your partner, you know, I don't look down on anybody else, how they want to run their relationship. As long as you're happy and your husband's happy or your partner's happy, hey, it works for you. But for me, at different times, it's going to be 50-50. Sometimes it's going to be me 80-20. When the COVID hit, my husband lost his job, you know, and I was a sole provider for us, you know. And honestly, I loved it. I thought it was awesome. My freaking I had a home cooked meal every night. I had my little meal packaged every day when I went to work. You know, my house was clean. I was like, dude, this is what I'm talking about. I can see why guys like this. I can see why guys want a housewife because this is amazing. My clothes were washed. Everything was clean. I didn't have to do anything when I got home. I didn't have to do anything. I was just like, I come home, take a shower, hang out with my husband, eat my dinner, go to sleep, wake up, everything's packaged and ready to go. I was like, I get why guys like this. You know what I'm saying? You know, I couldn't sell it to my husband to keep it going. You know what I'm saying? He got a job and then, you know, it was over, but I actually liked it. You know what I'm saying? But to each their own. But so I guess to answer your question, would 50-50 work for me? Yes, it would. In the relationship I'm in right now, definitely it would.
All right. So far, we got two and two. We got two for 50-50 review hour. You going 50-50?
Well, in my situation, I wouldn't say 50-50 because my partner, he's old school. He, he wants to do it himself. I mean, I've even tried to pay for a birthday dinner. And, you go to the restaurant and think you're going to pay for it, and then they pay. So that's just the way that he's brought up. But I will say that before then, I would say 50-50, because I was with individuals that just couldn't always pull their part of the deal. And so, like as Squire said, it's something that you need to discuss, at the beginning, what you want. You know, if you want somebody that's going to uh, foot it 100%, you got to think, okay, are you going to be the one? Does it bother you to go and have to ask somebody for money? You know, you have to think about that, and so I always want to have my own, but if he wants to do it 100%, I don't have a problem with it. But if something should happen where he needs me, I want to be in a position to pull my side of, pull my weight and help the both of us. But so it's hard to say. No, I wouldn't say 50-50, but I just want to be prepared and ready if I'm needed, because of him being so good to me, but no 50-50. No
Okay,
50-50.
I'm coming back to my two 50-50s. I'm coming back. I got a follow-up question for y'all. But let me read this here because I was like, what's going on in the chat? So here for the hot tea says, I feel as though some women will accept a man that provides 50-50 because we lack male leadership and guidance. So some women will settle for the sake of having a man. Like Betty Wright says, having a piece of man is better than having no man at all. 50-50, ladies, is that the case? Would you like to expound?
I can
Jessica?
expand. I can expand here. In my
Okay,
case,
Joy.
in my case, no. I would say that. Well, I'll just share a little of my tea. At a very young, I'm only in my 20s still, but at an early age with my career, I made it to a financial place that everyone I've dated, they're not even close to yet. And so that's why I take the perspective of, depending on where he is with his life, with his aspirations, and knowing that I do make more because of where I'm positioned in my role, then, let's look at your finances, where you are in life, and then let's see, are you giving in the other areas? Now, if we are at a certain place in our life where we should be more evenly yoked, then yeah, the whole 50-50 thing will definitely have to reevaluate, because are you expecting marriage from me? Are you expecting children from me? And that is a whole different ball game. But I think it's just because of where I am in life and where I am positioned to my male counterparts, we are financially unyoked. And I've dated some really phenomenal guys, but financially they just don't meet the criteria of where I am. And it's because of how quickly I rose in my career. So that's my point of view with it. But again, with anything that's 50-50, you have to be bringing 100% in all of the other areas of a relationship. And the men that I've dated, they're not really all into the more misogynistic traditional gender norms, I guess you could say. So that's another layer there, that they have more transparency and vulnerability into their areas of opportunity, and they're willing to give more into the other areas. And so, if you're transparent and upfront with me, then yeah, the whole 50-50 thing for this stage in my life is acceptable.
Okay. EBSQ. Here for Hot Tea says that she feels like most women, she said we, the ones that accept 50-50, could it be that you're willing to accept 50-50 because 50-50 is better than not having a man? Queen, you got the floor.
I don't think it is. I can only speak for my case, but I don't think it is because I have no problems being alone. I have no problems being alone. I'm not going to be with someone that I feel brings me down. You know, like I said, finances for some people are very important, you know, and usually it's a sign of, you know, maybe some kind of something was unstable growing up financially, or at some point you hit rock bottom financially. And I'm not judging anybody. You know what I'm saying? Like if that's what's important, because I've had friends that are like that. They're really like, I want somebody who makes this amount of money, and that's what I'm looking for. I was looking for someone who was heart centered. You know, that's really what I needed at that time. And my whole thing was like, we're gonna grow together, you know, and I'm not gonna be with no scrub. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't gonna be with nobody who ain't got no job, who ain't making money. But I always knew what I was gonna be. You know what I'm saying? And I really never thought that I was gonna meet anyone who was going to compliment me and support me and not be in competition with me. And that's another thing too, because some of these guys, they like in competition with their wives for money. They want to make more money. So they're like, they actually feel like kind of like they're resentful because their wives are in a better financial state than them. You know what I'm saying? For whatever reason. And that's sad. You know what I'm saying? You know, to be with someone for years and then like, yeah, they're mad at you because you're making more money than them. And so, like I said, some women will dumb themselves down or not let their light shine so that their partners feel better about it. And I always wanted someone who knew that I was gonna shine and let me shine. You know what I mean? And let me do me. But like I said, just like I said, finances like they come and go. And so I remember growing up, my parents like argued about finances. That was always an argument they had with each other about finances. I was like, dude, I am not gonna. Whenever I'm with somebody, you know, God willing, if I'm with somebody, I am not gonna be fighting about finances, you know. But like I said, I'm always gonna support myself anyway. I'm not gonna put myself in a situation financially that I'm with a man because I'm dependent on him financially. If I'm with you, you know that I'm with you because I want to be with you, not because if I leave, I'm gonna be financially ruined. And I think that a lot of women put themselves in that position. But if you want to do that, like I said, there's nothing wrong with that. You have to be honest with yourself and what you're looking for in a man, and to realize that one, everyone else is not going to look for what you're looking for, and it's okay. You know what I mean? And then two, that if this person is happy in their relationship, then maybe there's other avenues to take as well, and they're still not wrong. You know, but you know, people talk about they want partnerships, but they don't want partnerships when it comes to finances. You know what I'm saying? So do you want a partnership? You got to be honest with yourself. Do you want a partnership? Because if you don't, that's okay. But if you want a partnership, it's a partnership 50-50 in everything, not just in you can't pull out bits and pieces of what you want 50-50 in and what you don't want 50-50 in to benefit you.
Y'all are preaching tonight. Like I am shocked. This is such a diverse thought leadership. I'm so shocked. Jessica, I'll let you rebuttal to the 50-50 comment, and then I'll go to my next question, and I'll start off with Blessed Queen and the review hour. Jessica, they push back on this 50-50 thing. Are you willing to, they say you might be, maybe it's because you know, you 50-50 ladies are afraid of not having a man. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I push back on that because not every 50-50 man is the same. And not every man that may want to, okay, I'm going to spill my tea. I mean, I you know, share a lot of my personal life online anyhow. So I was engaged to someone who was never wanting me to come out of my pocket, never. I met him as my kids were grown, and so it was me, and if I allow him to pay for everything, he'll pay for everything. He covered the rent. You know, he was a provider and always had been a provider. Was the communication there? No, it wasn't there. Was he able to lead me? Was he a man that I could be submissive to? No, he wasn't. So really, there's like so many factors that come into your mate. You know, If he's not a leader, it doesn't matter to me if he's gonna, let me keep all my check for myself. If he's not a leader and he's not a communicator and he's not someone I can be submissive to, then it doesn't matter if he paid all the bills. It doesn't. Not to me. So, I guess when people want to be taken care of financially, to each his own. But I have been taken care of financially, and it wasn't ideal. It wasn't ideal because then I'm getting taken care of financially, and I'm the one wearing the pants in the relationship. I'm the one running you. There's not a, there's not a role. You know what I mean? Like I don't want a man that says yes, honey, to me all the time. I want him to say no. No, this is not what we're doing. You know what I mean? No,
Yeah.
no, this is not. Like because if that's the case, then why be with someone? So 50-50 to me, money. Money is the root of all evil. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna look at that completely. My dude has to have his own finances. He has to have his own career. He has to have his own budgeting and his financial goals. I'm fine with us having separate paycheck, separate bank accounts and us putting in on something else. You know what I mean? Like there are plenty of good men providers, but is there plenty of good men providers that can lead you and that you can be submissive to? It's not everything to me. That someone pay all the bills. In the times that I have relinquished or been forced into being taken care of through maybe situational, like during COVID, he wanted me to need him, and he liked that I was down so that he had to provide and that I had to come to him and ask him. You know what I mean? Like
Oh.
Some men that I have learned and been in a relationship with, and it was the wrong relationship, they want to take care of you and throw it in your face, or they want you to be a needy woman towards them. They want you to ask, oh babe, can I buy this, or is it in the budget? When I'm not saying spend irresponsibly. What I'm saying is I think that it is important that we can both bring finances to the table. For when one is down, the other one can come up, that type of way. But as far as needing, like what happens if the guy that is your provider, if your husband is your provider, what happens? Say something tragic happens. Can you provide for yourself? Did he set y'all up to be living in a certain type of way? That he taught you. I've ran into so many other sisters who have gotten out of relationships and their man was the one that paid for everything. And then they're stuck at 30, 40, trying to figure out how to take care of themselves. And, so I, in my life, I've always felt like I need to bring my own finances to the table. I need to know how to take care of myself. That is, not of importance to me that I have a provider. Can you lead me? As alpha female as I am, can I be submissive towards you? Are you leading me in wisdom? Not leading me financially, as far as that goes. So I have to say it really, really matters on the type of man that you're allowing to provide for you,
Yeah.
truly.
Listen, May says that's why my mama always said, never let your right hand know what your left hand is doing. That is hilarious. Look, you said submission. I had a completely different question in my head, but let's talk about submission. Bless Queen. Is that a realistic expectation that men should expect from women? Submit, woman. What are your thoughts?
When you say submit, because submit for me is too generational fold, because I'm older. So when I taught about relationship or were taught how to function in relationship, I was taught to submit to a man. You don't ask question. When he said jump, you just jump up, come back down, and then ask, honey, how high did you want me to go? Now, after going through my husband and being divorced and being abused and whatever, now at my stage in my life, in my 50, submission is something that is totally different than my 20s, 30s, and 40s. So now, for me, submission, as Jessica was saying, I cannot submit to you if you can't lead. Because how can I be submissive to a man who do not know how to lead? How can I submit to a man who is broken? How can I submit to a man who is not whole? So now I've learned, as review said, to ask questions. Because as I said, I realized that I was broken. I was taught to be the strong woman that you can do it. You don't need a man. You can pong a hammer, pong a nail. You can bring in the grocery. You can, thing. I wasn't taught the feminist way where, no, I was taught you can do it without a man. You don't need a man. But I also know that I need a man. As I grow older, I know that I need a man. I need him to, as I said, complement this finished product. But you cannot complement this finished product. I cannot submit to you. I cannot follow you if you are not in a place mentally, emotionally, financially, sexually to lead me. Who am I really submitting to? Because either I'm going to lead myself. Of course, I'm going to submit to myself. And I'm going to do everything for myself, with myself, to myself, and be happy. Then I have to, lead something that looks good on the outside, but has no sustenance on the inside. So when it comes into leading, that man have to be put together. As I can't submit.
Oh, you better preach, Queen. I'm gonna go to the left. Let me go to EBSQ. You submitting?
Right, they do it now, probably. Yeah. Let me tell you something. It, I guess, what is submission? People talk about it and people throw that word out there. What is submission? What are you submitting to? What actions are you saying I am submitting to you? Maybe let's define that first, because I hear people say that, but I don't, I hear different definitions of it every time I hear it. So, are you just like, hey, he's going to lead me off a cliff and I'm just submitting, so I'm going to just follow him and fall off this cliff with him? Is that submission? I guess the question is, what is submission?
I think people have different definitions, honestly.
I think so too. Let's start with the man being the head of the house. The man runs the house. Let's start there. Let's keep it basic.
How does he run the house? He just makes all the decisions and you going along with it? No.
Yeah.
No. And I'll tell you why, because I said this before. I'll say it again, partnership. Now if you want to run your house like a military base, yeah, you can submit, because that's what soldiers do. They submit to their leader, to their general or whoever, and they say, I'm going to do whatever you tell me to do, no matter if I think it's wrong or not. And I'm not going to do that. If I think that what you're trying to do is wrong, I'm going to tell you that it's wrong. I'm not just going to follow you down this cliff. You know what I'm saying? So, and I think it comes back to realizing what your partner compliments you on. What am I good at? There's certain things that I'm good at, right? I'm good at quick decision making. I'm good at long-term planning. My husband realizes that. And so he knows whenever I make a decision or I come to him with something, I've put some thought into it. Now, he may say, hey, that's probably we should probably do it like this. This might be better. He might be right. And I'm like, okay, you know what? Thinking about it, you are right. So we're going to do it the way you say it. But I'm not going to do it just because he has a penis. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be because, what he says makes sense to me. And so I'm not going to blindly submit. That that doesn't make any sense to me logically. You know, it just doesn't, that doesn't compute with me.
I respect it. I respect it. And you know what? I thank you for giving all of you an honest answer. I'm gonna go to the review hour and then loop back around to the top. The review hour. Are you submitting?
We were on the same the same road. You know, it depends on what your idea or definition of submission is, because again, like the young lady said, hey, I'm not just going to follow you blindly. You know, some people may think submitting is just do everything that they say do not ask questions. And I'm the type of person, I ask questions. um, Very quiet, but I can go from that to that and be a whole different person. So I want to know from the beginning what the definition of submission is. Is submission just saying, hey, I'll tell you what my idea of submission is, that you're going to tell me something for my own good and I need to listen to you. Okay. If it's for my benefit, if it's to keep me out of danger or harm, or if it's going to make the household flow better, then I can submit to that. But I'm not just going to submit because you say so. There has to be logic to it for me. That's just my personality. I just can't do what you tell me to do. I, I'm not built that way
Hey, that's
for
fair. I
anyone.
love it. I love it. A Dream says submission does not equal or equate to obedience. That's something to ponder on. Jessica, you submit. I know you gave an example, but where are you now when it comes to submission? Most men tend to explain it the way I've heard it. They run the house. They are the final decision maker. They are the first and the last, the beginning and the end, the author and the finisher of your faith in that house. Are you submitting?
I am submitting when he knows how to lead. If we are both discussing an issue of the house and he is saying like, let's do this because this is going to be better for our household, that I can be submissive to. As far as like the comment said, it's not being obedient. I don't want to be made, I had a daddy. I don't want my husband or my partner treating me like he's my daddy, he's my partner. So whatever the final say is, this, if it wasn't something that I wanted or it wasn't something that I'm not comfortable with, I want my partner to, let's sit down and talk about it. Let's see where we can come to this midpoint. And if the way I'm thinking isn't rational, I feel like we should be in a submissive mentality with, with our one, because not always are we going to be in the right mentality. Sometimes we come to the table and just like a queen would advise a king, sometimes, they come to us to give us, what do you think I should do? And, we would advise them as a queen to our king. So as far as submissiveness, I don't think it's a sign of weakness. I believe I don't think it's a characteristic of being weak. It's more meekness, if you ask me. And there's strength in meekness. So, we can't always have it our way. That's not the way it goes. And for some people saying, "Oh no, I love my husband, but I'm being submissive." No, I disagree with that. Because we can't always be the head. And a lot of times, a good man who is a leader, he's going to ask you, or consult with you, or ask for your advice, just the way that kings did with their queens. So I don't believe that submissiveness is weakness. It's meekness, and there's strength in meekness. And which is why it's so important for a man to be wise, to me following the Lord, have fear of God, and so that he can make a decision that you're not just so butting heads with. Something's going on if y'all are always butting heads and you want it to be your way or the highway, and he wants it to be his way or the highway. There's got to be a midpoint, you know. And you know that's my opinion, you know. But some people, we live in a generation now where it's independence, and you know, I don't believe that. I believe that there's someone for you,
Yep.
and if you are not in a relationship, I strongly feel and believe, I've learned this, that it's your time. You know, it's not a sad thing to be single. It's not a sad thing that you're not in a relationship. You know, God's word says that if you are single, that's more time for you to serve others in Him. So, you know, it's okay to be submissive, because to me, I find there's power in submissiveness. But you know, you have to be submissive to the right person and to the right partner. Can he lead you? Did he make those decisions that ultimately would have be the last say? There are those wise decisions. Who is he seeking to for his wisdom to make decisions? So I think that's important. You have to be equally yoked, one of the sisters
Yep.
on the panel said. So, you know, I think I think there's a lot of play in on whether you can be submissive to your partner. Are you the one wearing the pants in the family? You might want to, you know, go back and think about that. You know, I don't want a man that is always, yes, honey, whatever you say, honey. You know, how can I don't know. I just don't see that as, you know, strength. Yes, whatever you say, honey. You know, whatever you want. I like what you like. I want what you want. Or no, it's such a turn off for me.
Yeah.
You know.
No, thank you.
So I,
Thank
I have
you.
a I have a question, Krista. So you're saying that you are okay with submission, but you want 50-50 on finances? Is
No,
that what you
I
said?
am a 50. No,
Maybe
I'm a
maybe I
50
didn't.
50. I'm
You're on
50
50-50
50.
on
Yeah,
finances,
I'm okay.
but
Oh yeah.
but you're but you want the man to be the head of household, but you want to be 50-50 on finances?
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay.
There's a way.
Okay.
There's a way
Okay.
for that.
I'm not okay. I just want to make sure I understand that right. 'Cause I
Because
wasn't
not
on.
every yeah, because not everything involves money. Not everything in a
But you don't think
relationship
that's like a
involves.
kind of a contradiction a little bit?
I don't. I don't know because like I said, now if a man wanted to provide for me and he's a leader, you know, then maybe. But I don't know. I maybe because I've always been taught not to depend on anyone, you know. And I'm a giver. You know, I'm a giver. Now I'm not saying I'm a giver to take care of a man, but to me, money is not an issue. Money should not be an issue. There's so many things in a relationship that we have the world to take against. The enemy, you know, wants to, you know, get into infiltrate your household however he can. So why fight about money? You know,
So you
I
don't want a
I don't.
partnership. You want the man to be head of household.
No, I want a partnership. I'm not saying there. I don't believe that you have to eliminate submissiveness to have a partner.
But that
don't
is.
believe
But
that.
you are eliminating a partnership when you are saying that you're being submissive and that you want the man to be the head of household.
Mhm.
That's the
Okay.
definition of it.
So let me ask y'all. So could it be we're getting caught up on the word partnership? So Jessica, do
Mhm.
you want a partner or do you want a husband? If we had to clear it
Oh,
up. I'm trying to go somewhere. Maybe partnership means we're equal. Am I right? When we say when somebody, let me ask y'all. Let me ask you, EBS, what do you when you partnership, what's your idea of partnership?
When I think of partnership, I think of equal. You know,
Okay.
we both making decisions for the household. You know, not just me or not just him. We're both making decisions. Like I said, I'm not going to follow you blindly, and you're not going to follow me blindly. We're gonna talk about it, and then together we're gonna make a decision. You know, whenever I think of submission, I'm basically saying, hey, I am going to give you my input, but at the end of the day, you are making the decision. There is no compromise. Or there are going to be times whenever you don't even want to hear my input, and you're going to make that decision, and I'm going to follow you blindly, even if I think that your decision is dead ass wrong. You know.
Okay. And Jessica. Is that your idea of what you're describing that you want in your man or your husband?
Uh, um, well, I'm looking for a husband. Not looking, but not currently looking, but I want a husband.
Okay.
Yeah, I want a husband. I'm not looking for an arrangement, if that makes any sense, like an arranged partnership. Um, finances to me, like I said, again, finances to me are not, a big deal in relationship if y'all are both where you should be, or getting there. Um, like I said, I don't believe that submissiveness is a sign of weakness. I believe that you can let a man lead as long as he is leading in the correct way. Um, I don't believe that women should always have the last say in everything. I believe that we should bring it to the table and make the best decision as a couple, as a husband and wife. But if he is feeling a certain way, that my decision is not the best one to make, then I'm going to pray for my husband. If I'm married, I'm praying for my husband that he has the wisdom to make decisions for us. I'm praying for myself to be a supportive wife. I'm praying for my husband to be wise to lead. So,
Hold on.
as
Hold
far
that thought, Jessica. Hold on.
uh-huh.
Hold on. I want to shake it up a little bit. I want to push us on along. The review hour has a question, but I need Joy to go too because she's been waiting patiently. The review hour, can you quickly ask your question? Now, depending on how far it takes us off the radar, I may say we have to come back to it because I really want to make sure that all of you get a chance and an opportunity to speak to this. The review hour, real quick, what's your question?
Yes, if you have time to explore it, do you think because women of color, of us and our ancestors have always wanted, have always been, always have had to survive, that it makes it hard for us to submit,
All right, we're going to come back
to
to it.
submit
Let's
to
ask the
someone?
audience. Do y'all feel like Black women, it's hard for Black women to submit? Hold that thought. Joy, are you submitting?
In the classic sense that you gave of he makes the decision, final and end answer, no. Staying true to I want a true partnership, whatever we're deciding for that household, let's run it with each other. I see people say, well, submission is not a bad thing. Then it should go both ways. When I hear submission, I hear having the vulnerability and the trust to be your fullest and most authentic and raw self with that person. And I think that that is something that should go both ways. If I love my partner, if I love my husband, the stress that can come from if I make this ill decision, it could all crumble. I am a strong advocate for mental health and wellness. I love you, babe. Let's do this together. Let's figure this out together. So I'm not going to just, whatever you say, that's fine. No, let's work this thing out together. Because again, like I said earlier, I'm a visionary. You might set the blueprint, but I'm going to take it off. So that's why in my household, we have to have that conversation. We got to come together. We got to pray together, and then let's work this out together. But no, I can't submit in that classic sense that you gave.
Okay, thank you, Joy. And that makes a lot of sense. And I highlighted this comment because I think I like what they're saying. Be Wise said there's a problem with the way that women are choosing the fathers of their children. We need to be better at choosing our husbands and partners so our children do not end up fatherless. Ponder on that for a second. I'm going to leave that up there. Let's go back to submission. What was the question again, review hour?
Okay. I wanted to know do you think that women of color, that we have a hard time being submissive due to us always having to be survivors, or our ancestors, we just go reach all the way back. We always had to survive, and that has trickled down. Do you think that is the reason why we may have that like, I can submit a little bit, but I'm not going to do it all the way. Do you think that has a lot to do with it?
And I'll formulate it really into a really quick, short question. Ladies, give me 60 seconds or less on this question with your response. Do you feel like because of the hardships we faced as minorities, particularly women, that we have a hard time submitting? Yes, no, and why? EBS, you're up.
I think that the men are trash. It's hard to submit to them. I think that most women are spiritually stronger when it comes to men. So it's like, it's sad. It really is sad that you are the spiritual leader in your household and you know you are, and you still want to follow the scriptures and have your men lead, but they aren't equipped to lead, you know? And so, yes, it goes back to who do you choose as your husband, when it comes to that. And so, short answer, I don't think it's survival. I think that actually Black women want to submit, but I think that the problem is the quality isn't there for submission.
Okay, thank you, Queen. Blessed, what are your thoughts?
Yes, I agree with SG that and also disagree with her at the same time because um trauma, generational trauma, women have been taught to be survival. You cannot afford to submit because you is the one got to run the house, because anytime the man could be taken away from you. So that is some trauma that from generation, from slavery, that we still deal with to this present day, which makes submission hard. Also, I agree with the statement we need to, there is, as a woman, not every man you should lie with and have children, and vice versa. And God must and have to be the foundation, the starting of every man's life. And if God is not there, he can't lead, because God is the head, then the man, and then the woman. So we can't, anytime it go differently, we're not gonna have a corporation, we're not gonna have a flowing chart, we're not going to connect the way that we should, if that makes sense.
That
You know,
does make sense.
so it's kind of tricky, because when there are so many things that we have to heal from in order for us to move out, and women were taught not to submit.
Hmm.
Because when a Black woman see, and I'm going back to our ancestor, and that's why my grandmother accepted my grandfather role in the relationship, because she know that she would taught that the man, he can do whatever, he would always be taken, because she was a child of slave. So the men were broken down in front of the woman, and the woman couldn't scream out. Sometimes, the women will are in front of their man in order for they to know that, who is master, who is slave. So we women, we were conditioned. You got to lead, you got to be strong. You cannot afford to submit. And we still hold on to it to this day,
Hmm.
that we do not know how to let go. And I of myself wrestle with that. While we were talking about it, I had a relationship, and it's after the relationship ended I realized, because why the relationship ended. 'Cause I was in this relationship with this person, and I was making my decision. We had a good night. I had now gotten a place, and stuff like that, and he helped me moving, and I went and chose a bedroom set for the bedroom. It was my place. We in a relationship, yes, but we ain't husband and wife. We just, getting our groove on, and that's about it. I didn't think that I needed to discuss with him that I was going to get a bedroom set and ask his opinion of it. So he left. He went the morning. When he came back, the night he went because his mom called him. But we weren't living together either. Yeah, no, he had his apartment and I had just gotten mine. And, he went to check something with his mom. And when he came back, I thought, oh my God, I'm going to surprise him. The bedroom set is here. And he was properly well hurt that I didn't discuss something as the bedroom set, which was, intimate, to our relationship. And my thing was, but it's my apartment, it's my room, it's my money. I'm not asking you for anything. So what you so offended about? And it's
Yeah.
after we separated, I realized that I took away his manhood. I did not give him a chance to be a man in the relationship. I did not value his opinion of on what he thinks. But at the time, I mean, you couldn't tell me anything. I was right. It's my apartment, my place, so I can do whatever I want. You offended by it? I'm sorry. Hit the road, Jack. Don't come back no more, no more. And that's what happened. But it's after I realized, that I was being, you know, the man in the relationship.
Wow. They said, I saw a cute little response to your comment. Simone said, you were getting your groove on, bless. And then I want to go to Joy. Joy, did I go to you? I feel like I skipped over you.
For which question, Queen Sheba?
Um, the submission question.
No, I did answer about could I submit in the traditional sense?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, I did answer it about, I did answer.
Okay, I feel like I lost my train of thought then.
No,
Um,
I think you had went to another question. You had resurfaced back to
Let me see. It was a
the review,
starred comment. Keep going.
review hour question.
Oh yeah. Okay. So
Mhm.
okay, who didn't answer?
I did
Somebody.
answer.
Okay, I'm coming to you next, and I was right on my rotation. So when it comes to women of color, minority women, do you feel like because of the hardships we've endured over an extended period of time, generations, whatever, that it's really hard for us to submit?
I think to a degree. I think that two things can exist. I think on one hand, women can have the mindset of, well, I'm equal to my partner, so why shouldn't I be able to have equal input? But I think when you do get to the generational trauma component, that yes, it is there. You know, many of my friends or people that I talk to, they can talk about the examples that they saw or the absence of having a Black male figure or father in their life, or the ones that were there, they weren't good examples. And it sets this precedent that goes on and on and on, that as a woman, how can I fully trust you when I've seen this long lineage of women that look like me or come from my family that have been treated so horribly? So I think two things can exist, and I'll be transparent. I think that's where I am as well. I do believe in I am equal and I have just as much vision, but there is a part of me that does struggle with that generational trauma from what I saw, what I encountered growing up from Black men, what I saw within my own family, that anytime that I see anything that is even remotely a little bit similar, is just like, it makes me harden. And that's why I said submission is about being able to be, vulnerable and your raw and authentic self. Um, yeah, I'll pause there. And then I also want to acknowledge that there's generational trauma on the male side. you know.
Absolutely.
So I think it's, sadly, speaking specifically for the Black community, there is so much trauma on both parties that it truly cracked our family dynamic. And just as much trauma as we can speak to from a woman's perspective, there are men, Black men out there that have trauma. The young men that I've dated, they're just now getting comfortable to talk about, I had trauma, or I was taught to be absence of my emotions, or I was taught to only be a provider, and that's where the buck ended. And so I think we have to be able to acknowledge the trauma on both sides and be able to have a conversation about
Yeah.
what has that done as a whole to our unit.
No, you're fine. You're fine. We're following. We're tracking.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I put a mute pause. But yeah, I do think that there is generational trauma there.
That's beautiful. And when I say beautiful, your truth, your transparency, your vulnerability. So thank you for sharing that. I think a lot of you, not a lot of you, it's just 6 of us, but a lot of what you all have had to say, I don't know, you're causing me to think and rethink some things. So I'll pause on that and go to Jessica. Jessica, as a woman of color, do you feel like we've gone up against some hardships, and as a result, it's a struggle for us to submit in relationships?
Yes, I believe that your partner, if they are not healed in their aspects of their life or working on a betterment of self in a certain area, that because we heal in layers, and I think that when trauma comes, you may have healed some layers, other than what your partner has reached. So I know that I've had a hard time being submissive about money. As far as we were talking about 50-50, there's been partners that I would not want to submit 50-50 to, because I don't trust their management of money. I don't trust, that they're telling me the truth on something. Because I've been lied to in the past. I've had a partner take money from me, so I think with all, we all come from different walks of life and different experiences with different partners and relationships. There's different hurt that other partners have brought. And so, it's hard, when I was in a position or in a season in my life when I was going to get married, that was one of the things that I thought, like, no, I need my own. We discussed it, and he said, no, why don't we have a joint account? Well, why do we need a joint account? That joint account should be for bills. I want my account and you have your account. I don't want to know what you're spending money on. I don't want you to know what I'm spending money on. Like, I want you to trust that I'm spending money on the things that are, that I'm being fruitful with my money. But it's hard to be submissive to someone when you have all this hurt that you haven't healed from in any aspect. So as far as trauma goes, we can talk all night about that. A lot of our trauma, if we haven't healed from it, it brings so much baggage into a relationship. We have to heal first to even be in a relationship. If you don't know yourself or know what you want for yourself or have self-love, how are you? You shouldn't even be on the board for a relationship. I've learned that. You think you are ready for a relationship, you're not. You need to love on yourself. How can you love on someone and you don't even know how to love on yourself? You don't know how to be in love with your solitude. Trauma, will jack a whole relationship up. Non-healed, trauma, non-working and loveth of self, is damaging for a relationship, period. Not just submissiveness. That's just one little thing. For sure. Oh no, I can't hear.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I was just talking. I said, thank you so much, Jessica. I agree. I agree with you. Trauma. I mean, we can go on and on and on about that. Everybody mute up for me. I'm getting a little bit of feedback. Let's see. Everybody. Yeah. So I agree. Most certainly. Listen, we're about to wrap up. So when we think about leaving when we're talking about gender roles, right? And I want you all to give 30 seconds of positive affirmations where you stand on this topic, what your thoughts are, and what you would like to close out with. But before I do, I want to bring somebody up to add her thoughts really quick, because one of my mods keep timing her out. Y'all stop. I don't know which mod it is, but here for hot tea. Y'all stop timing her out, mods. So I invited her up to give her thoughts on the subject. Welcome. Here for the hot tea.
Hi, Queen Sheba. How are you? Hey,
I'm
everybody in the
good. How are
chat.
you?
I'm well. Hi, everyone on the panel. And
Hi,
hey,
honey.
mods. Ha ha. You can't shut me up. So, first of all, thank you, Queen Sheba. You know I'm a little childish. But first, I wanted to say to everybody here, I know I make, I say controversial stuff, but part of me having the conversation is because this is kind of triggering for me, because I feel like we live in a male dominated society. This is a patriarchal society. So, going 50-50 in this society, it just seems like you're setting yourself up for failure. And I know Mel was in the chat, and I wanted to say this because I I look at all of the women around me. I'm a bit young, but I look at all of the women around me, and I learn from them. So I say that to say, Mel did a video, or her and Walkie Talkie did a video. Walkie Talkie is Martell for the people that don't know, and she was talking about how she had, lended him some money to get him, started in school or whatnot. And if we go based on the track record, Black women have always gotten the bare minimum or the short end of the stick when it comes to dating in this society and being married. I'm sorry, my voice is shaky. But and being married. And so a lot of times we've always settled. We've always did 50-50. We've always gotten partners that didn't make as much money as us. So when I hear women that try to continue to push this narrative when we are in a society that they had, I guess, developed and built and planned, like this is what they wanted. They developed this society to work the way that it did. So when I hear women, oh, it's okay to go 50-50, this, that, and the third, especially when you bear children. For men, I think that's like, I don't know. I think sometimes maybe and this is not saying like you guys have low self-esteem, but I want us all to kind of look at why that is that other women in the world can bear children, and they have the option to work if they want to, and they never have anybody questioning them in their motives as women. But why is it that Black women can't? And that's just all that I wanted to say. It just seems like anytime a Black woman want to rest in her feminine, it's almost as if like that's unheard of. Like, another person made a point to say that, I'm sorry, because you guys, I can ramble, but another person made a point to say that, oh, well, if you're allowing him to provide for you, then, what if something happens to him, and what if he just gets up and leave? So again, like I said, I'm young, and I want to share this with y'all. Me and my man we've been together for 3, married for 1, or not even 1. And throughout that entire time, I didn't work at all. I didn't work, but I did make money, and I didn't pay any bills. That entire 3 years, I saved all my money, and I sit at a decent savings. So I say that to say, just because a man provides and pay bills doesn't mean you don't have to work, doesn't mean you don't have to make your own money, so on and so forth. Okay, I'm sorry, y'all. That's it.
You're fine. You're fine. Take your time. What I'm gonna do is I'll come back to you. I want the ladies. Anybody want to push back real quick before we? Okay, go ahead. EBS. We're gonna go to EBS, and then we're gonna go to Joy. They want to push back a little bit. Everybody else, mute up if you're not talking.
All right. First of all, Happy, I love you. I watch your channel all the time. I agree with almost everything that you're saying. And I think when you were talking, the key word that I like is option. You have the option. You know what I'm saying? And so I feel like because you choose another option, some people think like, okay, there must be something wrong with you. And like you said, low self-esteem, or I think you said something else. I didn't get to read the whole thing in the chat, but I said it before. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I do think that we are taught as Black women at a young age to, yes, we don't have the option to just be financially provided for. And I think if you want that, there's nothing wrong with that. But I do feel like when you have that, you are giving up something. You're not getting anything for nothing. That's just life. Just life in general. You know what I'm saying? And not just Black women. This could be white women or Asian women or whoever. Whenever you give up your financial freedom, you're giving it up basically. Whenever you're telling a man that you're gonna just let them provide for you. And like I said, it's all fine and dandy until Mad Day comes along, and then you've been a housewife and taken care of for 15 years, and then you're just thrown into the workplace and you can't provide for yourself. And if you're okay with that, there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying, in my situation and what I would want from me, I like to work, and I make good money in my job. And there's nothing, I don't feel like I low self-esteem or anything, because I'm not gonna. That's the thing with Mel and Martell, when she gave him money, I wouldn't have did that. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't have did that. I'm not going to provide for somebody that I just met for. I just met. Now, after being married 14 years, if something happens with my husband's job financially, yeah, I'm going to have his back. You know what I'm saying? Because at the beginning of our relationship, he wanted me to be a housewife. And I did it for, a couple of months, but I was like, this ain't me. This ain't what I'm about. I can't do this. But I had the option to be financially completely provided for. I chose not to. So it is an option. It's not a requirement. Just because somebody dangles it in front of your face doesn't mean you have to jump to it. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, I realized then, if something were to happen, I need to know that I can still provide for myself. But I do love you, and I just love listening to you. So
No, thank you. I love the fact that we can agree to disagree. I love healthy and hearty conversations. Listen, I love strong, educated, intellectual women. And that's why you all are here by design. Joy, what are your thoughts?
I would say hello here for the hot tea. Like I said, I love when you give your controversial takes. I think where I'll push back is eliminating this narrative that women that go 50-50 in all cases is because low lack of esteem or self-worth or insecurity. I'll just speak for me in this case. As a young Black woman in her 20s that sits within a senior manager position, when I look around in the industry that I'm at, I don't see other young Black men. So when I am in the dating pool and I find someone that I like, I understand that where he is right now may not be financially evenly yoked with me, but that doesn't mean that he's not going to get there. Secondly, in dating, going with the 50-50 narrative, that does not mean that you're building up a man. I want it to be clear. I think that's maybe where it's getting misconstrued. And also for me, it's looking at my man. I've never been asked to go 50-50. It's strictly going off of the conversation. So I think it's okay to be in a relationship and be able to say, hey, I want to be an equal partner. I want to be able to bring my own to the table. And I also want to be able to have my own, and there not be some misconception that, oh, this person is settling. Again, I think it's about do you have healthy dynamics in your relationship? Do you have healthy boundaries? And do you have that place of openness and vulnerability where you can be transparent with your partner? I don't want just someone that I have to say yes or no to, or vice versa. I really want a partner. I want to have someone that's intellectually yoked, who has similar well, not similar, but have my same values and morals and good character. And together we build, together we create that future. And if that means that at this time we have a pot, I put in that pot, they put in that pot, and then we grow together, I can accept that, and I'm fine with that. I don't think that makes him less of a man or me less than a confident woman.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just want to butt in a little bit because one, your look is off the chain. I love big hair, the lips, the glasses, love that. But in my opinion, I'm sorry, I would have to say that if a man is in a position to receive, if a man puts himself in a receiving position, that absolutely makes him less of a man. But that's just my opinion. And I do want to ask y'all, because I'm a very, inquisitive person, and I love just these educated conversations. So I would want to know then, if you're comfortable with sharing this, did you grow up in a household with your dad? Because, a lot of y'all know a little bit of my story. I do have a narcissist daddy, but I still grew up with him. And there were certain things that I saw, and it was certain things that I didn't see. So me as a woman, some things are genuinely foreign to me.
Okay, let's pause there. There's a lot to unpack. But I want to touch on something. I'm going to go across. I'm going to go through the panel, and let's just do yes or no. If you grew up with a father in a home, let's just say 2-parent household, right? Jessica.
Yes.
Okay. Review hour. You're on mute, Queen. I think you said yeah.
Okay.
You still on mute?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. EBSQ. Okay. Blessed Queen. Did you grow up with 2 parents?
Two grandparents. I didn't grow up with my mother and father. I grew up with my grandparents.
That's still a father in the home.
Yes.
Absolutely. Joy.
No.
Okay. So we have 90% of the women here that grew up with a father in a home. Did that help? Hot tea?
I'm sorry, what was that?
We have 90%, contrary to popular belief, contrary to some of the things we hear, right, on YouTube about women of color not having a father, a male figure in a home. So we can what? Refute that right now. 90% on this panel have had a man, a father figure in the home. I said, did that help, like, answer your question?
Well, here's what I'll say. I'll call a lot of their bluff. And here's the reason why. Because statistically speaking, majority of us do not grow up with our dads. So if we're in a chat right now, okay, statistically speaking, majority of Black people, women and men, do not grow up with their father. So 159 people in this chat are not going to all have, 90% of them, I don't believe that. But
so where are we going with it though? Because I want to follow you.
Can I say something?
So that I will refute that. But where I'm going with it is, I feel as though a lot of times, because we have that disparity in our community versus other communities, we don't know what men in leadership looks like. So a lot of times, of course, a lot of us will say, you know what? I make more money. I'm more educated. I'm not going to find another Black man that is, on my level. So, I'm just going to find somebody that makes me feel good, and I think a lot of that comes from just, the lack of leadership, because my dad would outright tell me, if a Black man isn't doing it for you, there's a man, well, no, he wouldn't actually, because he's, y'all know that I have a dad that actually wouldn't ever want me to date outside my race, but my mindset would allow me to date outside my race if I cannot find what I'm looking for within, my race. So somebody asked in the comment section to you, Joy, why do you just wait on Black men?
Hold on. I'm coming back to that. Let's not. I don't want to go. I don't want to go that route yet. So let's pull back a second.
Sorry.
No, you're good. Let's pull back a second. So we have 90% of the women here on this panel, not the chat, on this panel, that have had father figures in the home. I'm going somewhere with this. A long time ago, a lady told me we perceive the world as we are. So we have to be careful that we don't assess other people's situation the way we grew up. We perceive the world as we are. If we feel like we had a father figure or a male figure in the home that wasn't healthy to us, sometimes we assume that other women and or men have had the same experience. Let's go back around the room again. For those of you that have had a male figure in your home, do you feel like you had a positive experience with that man? Blessed.
Yes, and I'm going to expand a little more on that in the sense that I'm from the Caribbean. And in the Caribbean, we have the extended family. So there was always a man in the home.
Oh, that's good. Okay.
You understand what I'm saying? So if your parents is not there, there is your grandparents. If your grandparents or one passed away, there's an aunt and an uncle. So there were always a male figure in the home. Even if one may be verbally abusive, there was always one that the good and bad one. So you always had two sides of seeing what a man, what his role, what his responsibility is to the home, to a woman, to a child, and to society. That's how I grew up in the Caribbean, in Trinidad. In America here, I'm not sure of the culture and the role of the man. I'm now learning it, which
Oh.
it seems to be different than in the Caribbean. We grew up with the extended family. In America, they have the nuclear family. From the time you reach 18, you're out the house and you on your own. Whereas in the Caribbean, you have aunts and uncle, they all live in the same house. Sometimes we like sardine in a tin because everybody making children and living in the same house. So it's a different culture and a different upbringing. So I do not agree with what it is she's saying completely, but I do understand it.
Gotcha. But that's why I'm doing this, because here for Hot Tea, I think it's important because you said I'm young and I want to know and I'm curious. And that's why I'm digging deeper as opposed to just moving on, right? So that's what I want, because you took it, there was a second question on top of your first. So I want to take the time to unpack and peel back the layers. EBSQ, you had a father in a home. If you're being completely transparent, how would you label that experience?
I would label it very good. My father was very heart-centered. He's very involved in his children's life. He talked to us all the time. He's the one that told me about my period, boys, life in general. I mean, he talked to me in general, just particularly for hours at a time. And so that's what I knew that I was looking for, someone who respected me, who respected, like when I said something, didn't just brush it off or whatever. He might not agree with me. He might not even understand. He didn't even understand me half the time. Like, where are you coming from? How are you my daughter? You were just, your thoughts and the way you think or just sounds so out there, but he still supported me and he still wanted the best for me. And I guess my question is for here for the hot tea is like coming from a father that you said was a narcissist, do you think that he instilled in you things that were positive, And so I'm not saying that he did or he didn't, or what you want is right or wrong, because I think that whatever you want in life, that's the thing about life. And that's the thing, everybody wants something different. And so we don't have to compete or go at each other to get what we want. But I think it's just the avenues that we use to get there are going to be different. But because I don't feel like my father was a narcissist, that I feel like he's going to instill in me different things than your father might because of his outlook on life.
And I'm going to come back to Hot Tea. I want her to answer, but I want all of you ladies to answer first so that she can have just a deeper understanding of what each of your experiences have been with the men in your lives. The review hour. When you think about the father figure in your home, how would you describe that experience?
My experience with my father, he was a good man, and he was a man that prayed for his children. He was a godly man, but he wasn't equipped 100% to be the loving father, or like I keep saying Esquire. I don't know why I keep saying that, but like her father was, talk to you about your period, about boys. That wasn't my father. My father was the type person, he wanted you to know about God, know about church, know about how not to give your virginity up. So all that type, but it was given to me in a different way, not as you sit you down and have a conversation. So he was a good man, and I do know that he loved his children. So my experience was really good from that aspect, but I wish I could have gotten more out of it.
And
I
if you
wish I
could
could
just
have
sum
gotten
up
that
the
more.
more, what more when you say more?
I wish when he told me certain things about life, that it wasn't always in an argumentative or
Mm,
uh, judgmental tone. I wish he had the ability to just sit down and talk with me as a daughter and say, hey, I've been a young boy before, I've been a young man before, and this is what you have to look for, and blah, blah, blah. But I think everything was, that was the only way he knew how to, a scare tactic. You
okay.
can't have a boyfriend because, dot, 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 dot. And then, of course, like I said before earlier, uh, at the beginning, when you're released, it's like, okay, I'm in the candy store now. So let me see what I've been missing,
Mm,
So I wish that I knew what he was telling me was right, but I had to find out later on in life that he was right. But I wish he would have related to me differently,
gotcha.
more and more. He gave it to me as lovingly as he could in the best way he knew how. And but I'm glad that I was able to see him as well, that he was a man that took care of his children and his wife. Because like any man, they can pack up and go at any time. And I would tell my brother all the time, even recently, any man that wakes up at 4 o'clock in the morning and go to a plant, and he's not making much money, and he works a double so that he can pay a mortgage, provide cars, provide clothes. And you don't understand that as a child. So I can look back now and really say, and I wish he was here so that I could tell him, you were a good man. You were really a good man. You just were not equipped to be the best father, but you were really a good man to your family.
Gotcha. Thank you for sharing. I know. Thank you all for hanging in there. I'm going to come back to here for Hot Tea in just a second after we go through Jessica and Joy. Jessica, what was your experience with your father?
Um, I came from a dysfunctional family. On the outside, we looked like a healthy family, but on the inside, it was not a healthy family. Um, the betterment of my dad did the best that he could, and he admitted his faults. He admitted when he was wrong,
Sorry,
and that made
Jessica, I don't want to disturb you, but can you speak up? I'm not hearing you, and I hope that those in the audience are.
Okay, I'm sorry. My
It's
earbud
okay,
went out,
honey.
so it might have changed a little bit. I was saying that I grew up in a dysfunctional home. So on the outside, we looked healthy, but on the inside, we were not. My parents, my father, did not set a good example in my childhood, but as he healed, he developed good fatherly tendency, a good father role for me. As I healed and he healed, I took away some of the best things from him in my later years versus childhood. So My dad did the best that he could. He was a great provider when I was a little girl. But as far as instilling things in me, they weren't always correct. As far as being a good example, that, it wasn't a good example. So as he healed, I could take away things from him as a healed father who could say, I was wrong for this, or, I should have been a better example for you. I should have been a better father for you. As he healed, he could, say those things to me. So I think as a child, some of the things that I learned from my father as a healed father came later. So a lot of the things that I received from my father, I didn't receive as a young daughter. I received as an older daughter. So there's things that I remember him telling me as a little girl, not to let anybody do to me, and don't take this from anybody or don't take that from anybody. There's things that stayed the same that he taught me as a child versus things that changed later on that he taught me as an adult, through his healing process, but it was a severely dysfunctional family. We loved each other. But could he have been a better dad? Could we be better parents? Sure, we all could. We all learn from our mistakes as we get older and our children get older. So as far as it being positive, yes, because I love my daddy. My daddy always made sure to let me know that he loved me. My dad told me he loved me. My dad showed me that he loved me. Did he show me he loved me in healthy ways? Sometimes his showing love for me was buying me things, or spoiling me versus telling me no. The times he should have said no, he said yes. So he did the best that he could, and I think some of his best parenting and fathering came from his healing. As he healed, he was a better dad and instilled better things into me.
That's real. That's real right there.
That's
Um,
yeah.
that's really real. But Hot Tea, before I go to Joy, you want to jump in real quick? Joy, do you mind? Because she's been waiting.
Yeah,
Do
no,
you
go
mind?
right ahead.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll say the question that was asked to me was, did I have good memories with my father? And the answer would be yes, just like anyone would have a good memory with a crackhead mom. It's good and bad to that scenario. I want to say narcissism is tricky though. My daddy is literally just like walkie talkie. Is sickening. Do y'all know that one little video that he has with Sugar Mama and Knox? Knox snatched something out of Sugar Mama's hand, and Sugar Mama was finna, start whining and crying or something. But he's like, "Oh, just let's take a picture." And Sugar Mama snapped her attitude together, and she smiled for that picture. That's what type of daddy I have. So it just like somebody else said, we made it look good for everybody else, but behind closed doors, it was pure hell sometimes. But at the end of the day, he went to most of my games. He was, in my life. He was involved in my life, So yeah, good and bad times for sure.
Do you feel like that's impacted you today? With the Hot Tea?
Absolutely. It affects me every day. It affects me when how I deal with the relationship with my mother today. It affects the relationship with my stepmother. It affects the relationship with my sisters. It affects the relationship that I have with other men that I view as narcissists because I know the signs. So I instantly have a disdain for them. It absolutely affects me for sure. And the type of women that I saw dating my narcissistic dad, like when I see women like that in the real world, yeah.
No, thank you. Thank you for being so open and vulnerable and transparent. I really appreciate it. It takes a lot, right? But that's what we do in the palace. We talk. We have deep conversations. And I'm just going to pause a second. I am going to let Joy jump in. Joy.
So growing up, I said I did not grow up with my father. However, I was poured in love from all of the women in my family. Predominantly, I was around women. And I don't think that that had a negative, well, I'm not going to say I know it didn't have a negative effect on me. The love that I received, what was poured into me, you know, I was always taught, yes, you can do it for yourself, but never lose your femininity, never lose what make you special as a woman, which I love, which I think might be a different experience than what some people have said. So I can't say that that has had an effect on me. And even kind of going back to that whole 50-50 thing, everyone 50-50 look different. My 50-50 is I can get the YSL purse and my baby can get me the Tiffany bracelet, right? So everyone's 50-50 looks a little different. And so although I didn't grow up without a father, it didn't have an ill impact on me because my father did re-enter my life when I was a teenager. And I can be honest and say I wish he hadn't. You know, my mother protected me from a lot of things, and I learned that he was just a man. He wasn't a superhero. And so that did impact me negatively. And I can say that I'd rather not have something and it caused me trauma than to just say I have it. You know, when we have traumatic experiences, it layers even through the good, right? When you hug, you might flinch a little bit because you don't know what you're getting. And so when I hear a lot of time the conversation about, oh, well, I came from a 2-parent household and no, you know, my father may not have been a good guy, but he was still there for someone who was raised in a single parent household. When I hear that, oh, well, we had our bad times, them bad times sound traumatic. And so I think it's important when we have these conversations, we not put so much weight on, well, did they come from a 2-parent household or did they come from a single parent household? You know, because I don't know. I wouldn't want my past to be riddled with that kind of trauma just to kind of give a constellation of, but they're good, you know. But that again, that was no slight to anyone up here. That's just my perspective and from what I see.
Y'all, this has been a hell of a conversation tonight. Like every time I think I'm about to wrap up, each one of you give me something. And I'm like, I gotta ask this. Like I have to ask that. And you said each woman is special, right? But before I go to that, I'm gonna just speak what's on my mind and keep it 100. I feel like here for the hot tea. Let me ask you something. Have you found your tribe? And I'm asking you that for a reason. Do you feel like you found your tribe?
As far as what, like, as far as like my day to day,
No,
or
your
like,
sisterhood, the people that can hold you.
yeah, I think I got a tribe. I think I have a tribe. I think so.
Okay. That's what I wanted to ask you. Okay. You answered. Thank you. So with that being said,
Oh,
I think it's
actually, I'm sorry,
Go
Queen
ahead.
Sheba, but whether you know it or not, you know, you are a part of my tribe. Like a lot of times I'm always in the bushes because I'm actually learning from you. You know, the level of poise that you have when you have these hard conversations, and I was going to say resilience that you have, you know, when you can have these conversations. I literally admire even the way Mel, you know, deal with some of the abusive people in her life. Cause me, I would literally blow a gasket. But the way that you guys are able to just, you know, just, I don't know. It's a level of femininity that I haven't reached yet, but I literally admire y'all for it.
You know what? I love that you picked up on my telepathy. You it took you a second. You gave an automated answer, but then you said, hold up, wait a minute. And I love the fact that you came back and you opened up a little bit more. And that's going to be my prayer for you because listen, it's not a deficit. That's not what I'm saying. But one thing I've learned from scientific research says that people tend to do better from traumatic experiences, breakups, whatever, when they have a strong support system. They bounce back fast, right? And we all struggle and deal with things. And I like the fact that you open up and you say, hey, I'm just curious. I'm going to ask y'all some hard questions, but I'm curious and I'm willing to learn. And because you're willing to learn, I'm willing to teach. I'm willing to lay it out there for you because you came, right, seeking wisdom. So one of my prayers is going to be that God continues to evolve your tribe, right? Just, and we can talk about that later offline. I think you need that. I think you're going to benefit from that really quickly. And I think it's going to really take you where you need to be quickly, right? Because I don't want you to learn hard based on things that have happened to you in the past. We all have a story. Who is that? Somebody needs to mute up. Mute up for me. But I feel like women don't do enough mentoring, not as much as we can or should. And I'm not talking about that corporate stuff. I'm talking about real life where we see men get up and go coach little league little boys that don't have fathers. You'll see a man wake up early to go help a little boy. I want to see more of that with women when it comes to young women, little girls. There's a lot of room for us to love on each other. And that's what I want you to have as you continue to evolve in the YouTube spaces. So let me pause to see if anybody else want to offer any words of affirmation for here for the hot tea.
I'll just say, you know what? You're beautiful. And thank you so much for showing up with your vulnerability. You said that you were trying to work to get to a place of femininity. You're there, love, because to be feminine means to be in touch with your vulnerability. And it may look a little different and it may be molded in a different kind of way. But I want you to know that what you did here, it was beautiful and it was well received. And I thank you for saying, hey, I'm going to ask questions. I'm going to show up in an authentic way. So I hope you can find some peace in that and know that femininity is not packaged in one way. It has many layers. And like you said, you might have an end goal in that, but for you to even show up with that vulnerability, that is part of femininity.
Feel free to jump in, y'all. You don't need me to call on you. Go ahead.
Here for the hot tea, I just want to say that you are wonderfully made. You are loved. Your experience don't define you. It is an experience to help build you, to bring out your best character. I applaud you for your tenacity to seek, to inquire, to want better, to know better, to strive to be better. And as Queen Sheba says, I pray, God, that you have that village, that community that would continue to assist you as you evolve into the beautiful woman that you gonna be. And keep pressing forward, keep holding on. Some days it's not gonna be easy. And there are days you're gonna soar like an eagle. For that days, grab and hold on to everything that you can, because when the winter days come, that is what gonna hold you. And I love you, love you, love you, my child. Love you, honey. I'm sorry, I'm done. Because you touch something in me, you remind me, your question and things is like, it's like me. And you will be filled. You will be filled. You see that void that you're seeking to fill right now? It will be filled. You see that hurt that comes from the inside, and indirectly you are blaming yourself for things that you think that should have been done differently. Honey, there's no blame on you or for you. And I want you to look up, because you are beautiful. You are beautiful. Okay?
Thank you
No
so
pressure.
much. I really
Anybody
appreciate
else
that,
want to
y'all.
jump in
I
real quick?
Yes. I think that you think that you're not, well, I don't know what you think, but I do love your fire. I love when you talk. I like how passionate you are. I love that about you. That's why I love listening to your content. So don't lose that. I think that sometimes we admire people and we want to be similar to them, but don't lose yourself in that. Don't lose that fire. Don't lose that passion. You're still feminine, even if you know, you get riled up and you get the party started. I always try to be meek, but then I realize at some point that's just not me. Um, when I talk, some people call it aggressive. It's not, I'm not trying to be aggressive, but it's the passion that comes into what I say. It's just because I'm very passionate about what I feel and how I express myself, and I want to express myself. And I feel like I have something in me and I need to get it out. And I feel like you have the same thing. You have something in you that you need to express and you need to tell the world. Keep on telling the world. We need to hear it. We need to hear you. So just don't stop being you, perfect the way you are. You're loved the way you are. And I can't wait to hear more content from you.
I would like to say to any of the young sisters here who are in their 20s, if I could tell my 20-year-old self at 45, would be to love on yourself and pour into yourself. Seek resources for yourself. Pray about who your tribe is. Pray about the people that you call friends, because in your young 20-year-old self, you can be easily swayed in a certain way or see examples that are unhealthy for you. And if I could talk to my 20-year-old self, I would definitely let myself know that there is a better way to love on yourself. There is a higher power to open up to, and to ask to protect you and guide you, because it's so important that you realize how loved you are. No matter what you've been through in your life, no matter what mistakes you have made, you are loved, you are special. A lot of things that may have happened to you beyond your control were not your fault. You didn't ask for that. And to forgive, let go of bitterness, because it'll just turn you sour, and you can get so much of your life back and your joy back if you forgive. Because unforgiveness is like a poison. You can't heal and grow without forgiveness. So I would say give yourself grace. Give yourself a lot of grace when you make mistakes. Learn from your mistakes. Ask God for guidance. If you're not a believer in the Lord, seek a higher spirituality that can give you some zen and give you love for yourself. So always pray over yourself. Speak affirmations and positive things over yourself. Let yourself know who you are. Who you want to be. Don't take no for an answer. I don't think that I would have came this far without taking no for an answer. I'll always be resourceful. Learn to be resourceful. If you don't know how to ask questions, ask others. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Give yourself a lot of grace when you're going through seasons in your life. Most definitely. Most definitely. Pray that God send you the right people and that He take the wrong people out of your life. Most definitely at your 20s, that is so important, in my opinion. You're a young adult growing up, and you can go either way. So that would be my thing for you. Most definitely.
All right. Well, thank you, Jessica. I was just asking you to speak up,
Oh, I'm
but
sorry.
no, you're good. You're good. Mute up everybody real quick. We're gonna close it out, but everybody mute up real quick. I'm getting so hot here for hot tea. If you were on the panel tonight, what would you say to you?
If I was on the panel, I would say to me, it gets better. It gets easier.
Remember that. That's beautiful. Remember that. Give yourself a little bit of grace and be kind to yourself. Um, and then let's wrap it up, everybody. Y'all really hung in there. Thank you so much. Hot tea. I hope you are leaving feeling good. I hope you're leaving feeling good, feeling fulfilled.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. This was great. This is one of the safest channels ever.
Thank you. I'm smiling. I'm sorry, y'all. Let me eat that for a second. Thank you. I appreciate that. I was trying not to smile. I was like, girl, you better take that. Thank you. So let's wrap up with this final question by Marceau's Boobs. I'm not going to say the word. What does loving yourself look like in 30 seconds or less? What does that mean? Loving yourself. Here for the hot tea.
I feel like loving yourself is self-care. The amount of care that you put into yourself is what I feel like defines ultimately how much you love yourself. If you don't spend enough time with yourself, then you don't really know who you are. If you don't, have enough experiences with yourself, then you don't know what you like. So that's just something that I've learned.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. The review hour, loving yourself. What does that mean? What does that look like to the audience for those that are curious and wanting to shift into a place of self-care and self-love, self-appreciation? What would you say?
For me, loving myself is not allowing anyone to do to me what I wouldn't do to myself.
Simple and
In other
sweet.
words,
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm so sorry.
well, I'm sorry. I wanted to expound. In other words, if you have someone in your life that is not that is negative, and they're doing things or saying things to you that is not edifying you in any way, and these are things that you wouldn't do to yourself or anyone else, then to me that's you love yourself when you do not allow them to do that to you. Love yourself more than you love someone else.
I love it. Thank you. EBSQ.
I think it's two things. One, when I became a parent, um, I had a daughter. I told myself, I am not going to let anyone do to me what I wouldn't let them do to my daughter, because I feel like we allow people to treat us a certain way, but if it was our kids, we would have different expectations. And I'm saying that you should have the same expectation for the way people treat you as people treat your children. And then two, allowing ourselves grace whenever we make mistakes and understand that we're going to make mistakes and it's okay. And it's okay to be wrong. It's okay that you made the wrong decision, and just forgiving ourselves for it.
That's, you know what? I like that. I would not, I'm not going to allow anyone to do anything to me that I wouldn't allow them to do to my child. That's a good one. Jessica.
I would have to say that loving on yourself is forgiving yourself and giving yourself grace. We beat ourselves up too much for not making the right decisions or not doing things the right way, not getting started sooner. We need to love on ourselves because in forgiveness of ourselves, because if we can't forgive ourselves for the mistakes that we made, that blocks us from loving ourselves, from falling into love of ourselves, for falling in love with solitude. You have to be at peace and joy with yourself. And if you can't forgive yourself for the mistakes that you made, that is a huge barrier for coming into loving yourself. So forgive yourself for the things that you have, the things that you've messed up in error, or for the deliberacy of being disobedient, you know what I mean, to yourself. We have an obligation to ourselves to love ourselves. God created us out of love, and we should love ourselves. And if you can't forgive yourself, that's a barrier for not loving yourself. So give yourself grace, forgive yourself for making bad decisions for yourself, so that you can come into making better ones for yourself out of love. That's one of the main things that I can say self-love is.
I agree. A lot of grace, lots and lots, over and over and over again. I think a lot of times we'll give ourselves grace, maybe once, maybe twice, and then we have, like, sometimes we're just not so kind to ourselves as women. Let me just stop there. We're just not kind to ourselves. I'm trying to make it sound all cute and fluffy. No, be nice to yourself. Be kind to yourself the same way you would to anybody else. Because a lot of times we overextend, we overpour, and then we give ourselves the little bit that we have left. We're not doing that no more in 2023. Give yourself a lot of grace. Give yourself a lot of rest. Treat yourself a lot. Okay. And prioritize yourself. And just be okay with being flawed and all. It's okay. You're going to get there. You're going to get to the point where God smooths out the rough patches, or whomever, whatever you believe in. You're going to get there. We all going to get there. You don't have to be a Christian to get there. You get there quicker if you are. Faster with a lot more help, right? There's benefits to it, but hey, we all gonna get there because he's not a respecter of persons. So let's just say that. Here for the hot tea. What does it mean to love yourself? Did I come to you?
Yes, we did, me.
Okay, making sure. Joy, you're up next.
Loving yourself to me means being kind to your inner child. We are all a product of how we grew up, our experiences, and sometimes that all gets in our head, and we're so quick to be negative or nasty to ourselves. So every time we have that voice in our head that says, I can't, it's you saying I can. Every day that you wake up and you feel like, oh, well, I just don't want to do that, you do it anyway, because you're pouring into yourself, that place of yourself that's unhealed, the place of yourself that, like you said, be the mentor, be the advocate that younger you would need. That's what loving yourself means to me.
Thank you, Joy. Blessed. Take us home.
Loving yourself is loving your flaws and all. Loving all the mistakes that you have made, how many times you have fallen down and get back up. Loving yourself, knowing that ain't nobody in the world are you, because you are unique. You are wonderfully made, whether you slim, thick, brown, yellow, blue, green, rich, or poor. You are individually made. You are unique. There is none like you. And we all gonna make mistakes, but that is part of our DNA, and we gotta learn from it. We're gonna learn to appreciate who we are. There are times we need to shut the phone off, shut the computer off, shut everything, and just shut in with ourselves, knowing that we are the apple of God's eye, and that he loves us, and we ought to love you. And Jessica, you and I both is going to get that fine husband, sweetie. Just wait. God is going to send him. You understand what I'm saying? And he is going to come in right in with 100, with the love, with the support that we is going to, submit ourselves to him, because he's going to be the man that God creates with a working PP, because with all the finance and whatever, if that part is not working, keep the finance and the house and the car. So we're gonna get it, and hold on. Here for the baby girl. are young. You are young, and there are a lot of things that you would have to experience to continue to make you. I understand to a point the situation with your father, but sweetheart, that don't define you. That should help you to understand the type of man, the type of friend, the type of relationship that you should avoid. And it should also give you something that you could build on. Sweetie, you are wonderful. And everyone on the panel, I'm honored to be in your presence. Queen Sheba, may God continue to bless you and take you to higher heights as you have these conversations, because I know that there are a lot of women in the bushes who appreciate this, who receive a lot because of what you have done tonight. And I give you your flowers, honey. I love you, love you, love you, love you. And that's
And I
my
love
2
y'all
cents.
more. Thank you. Listen, we do this every Wednesday and Sunday behind the wall. It's called members only, honey. If you think this was something, come behind the wall. And it's very affordable. We have a village. We have a real community, and we uplift. We keep each other
Amen.
uplifted. If anybody want to add anything about behind the wall, feel free to share. I don't know how many members I have up here. I think I can count at least three of y'all. But we have a really, really profound community. The palace is real. And if you're needing more of this, spend that $3.99. I make it affordable for you, not for me. Because I make it affordable for you, not for me. So
Right.
if you found this insightful, if you found this valuable, all are welcome.
Amen. I will be part of it, but class start back. I love to say I'm a pensioner in college, so class start back in August. So my time to be on the internet like now is limited until school is out. But I really do applaud you and enjoy this. I really do. I've learned a lot from each one of the panelists.
Thank you. Any final thoughts? 10 seconds or less. Anybody?
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is really nice.
Thank you as always, Queen Sheba.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. That will conclude tonight's show. Until next time, thank you all panelists. Thank you subs. Thank you mods. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Yourself. Did you enjoy yourself? Oh, we're still live. Sorry, y'all.